There's my kid.
All right, sweet. Oh, nice. Nice. All right. So we're broadcasting so I can go back and look at this as I'm doing my writing. But so when you all arrived, one of the things that you noticed, Rob, that they've already gotten to experience, there is an actual like bulletin board down near the docks where when the ships are looking to take on crew, because when they dock here, a lot of times the crew will leave the ship to go adventure, or maybe this is their port of call, or whatever the case is. They'll need to bring on more crew to leave. So there's a bulletin board that started off for being just for the ships, that is down by the docks, but has since then morphed into almost like an adventurer's board, right? Like people know if they need things done by adventurers or sellswords or whatever, like you can just post it up here. And because part of the commerce of this town is tending to adventurers, if you post it up, even if the adventurers don't come by and see it, one of the tavern owners will, or a shopkeeper will, and then they'll talk about it because that in turn drives business for them. So you know that this bulletin board is down there. There was a bit of commotion right after you guys got here. There was a cave-in the Stonehelm mine, and some miners had been trapped behind the cave-in, but no one wanted to go back down and help them and rescue them because there was talks that the cave-in was unnatural, that there were monsters that were hiding in the cave, that it caused this cave-in, and this halfling woman had shown up and was sort of doomsaying everything. She stood out on the docks on the large crates, and she was decrying how terrible it was and what a mistake it was to mine these lands, and how basically the spirits had come back to prevent any more mining. The characters, Alex's, my dad's, and DBJ's, went and explored this mine and actually found out the true cause behind it. And so it's been a couple of days since then. The mine has started to return to work because it has to. The miners who were trapped down there, who were rescued, have also gone back to work. You know, they took a day or so to get themselves together, but they've gone back to work. And the town itself has kind of calmed down from the fright, but there's still talks of it. Being a town that is highly transient and the population being a mishmash from everywhere, it does tend to be superstitious. So it is early in the morning, maybe 4 days since the events of the mine, and it's been pretty good weather. There's been talk in the town that there's a storm coming. No one's really worried about it, but it has turned the streets to a lot of vendors out there hawking wares for adventurers. So, you know, don't get caught in the rain. Take this tarp with you, or here's a waterproof tent, or bring us your tent and we'll waterproof it for you, type of thing, as people are milling about. There are several large carts pulled by oxen, with predominantly human teams with them, that have come in from out of town, carrying loads of grain, and they have been systematically loading it onto a couple of ships the last couple of days, and it's getting ready. They're getting ready to ship out. So the taverns over the last couple of days have begun to empty. Adventurers have gone on up north or east on their adventures, or they've taken a job on board ship, or with one of these teams returning back to the farms. as they would now be carrying either trade goods or gold back to their farms where the wheat came from. So it's early in the morning, probably 6 a.m. Rob, where would you find yourself? There's two inns here. I don't remember what the other one's called, so we're gonna call it a Salty Dog for a second. There's a Salty Dog and the Glass Fish. The Salty Dog is kind of a flop house for sailors, versus the Glass Fish is an adventurer's tavern, right? A big fireplace, lots of old men in there spinning tales, but also food, wine, and accompanying women that can be had in this tavern.
Okay, can I just ask the name of the other characters? I know Alex is playing an Aasimar Paladin, but I don't know the character name.
Oh, Belfast. I think I mentioned.
Belfast. And Steve Senior.
Tugwell Brandon goes by Tug.
Yeah, he does.
Tug Halfling.
Oh no.
Okay.
Well,
the opposite.
Full human, but he's about 6'8", comes in near 300 pounds. Great big full beard, rusty red hair, rusty red beard, wearing mail, and the paladin affectionately refers to him as a rust monster. About the only thing on him that isn't at least a little rusted is his shield, and his shield is pristine. It is almost a work of art as far as wood.
Also, when he says 6'8", you're not sure if he's referring to his height or his IQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those two numbers is right.
That's right.
Okay.
So you would also know that the lady who runs the town, she would be the mayor, is Lady Bellwood, and she is a halfling.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I would definitely be in the Glass Fish to answer your question.
Okay, so Sharon runs the Glass Fish. Sharon is a middle-aged human woman that everything with her has that sappiness of caring, right? But she's very, you can tell that she has a very keen mind for business, and she's very protective over her girls, like the women that work there. And it seems that because she is that way, the women are treated very well. So you have a room in the Glass Fish, and the Glass Fish is this ornate building. Everything is stonework and marble and polished wood, and it's ill-fitting for being what it is. And there are altars to multiple gods and goddesses that have since been painted or magicked to look make-upped or more promiscuous or whatever. It's kind of got that you've got Bocob or someone up there, and they have flowers around them and a martini in their hand, and you're just like, that doesn't quite, okay, whatever. It's the only building in town of the businesses that has real glass windows, and because of that, it has these massive shutters outside of it that can be closed to shelter the glass from storms when they do come.
Mm-hmm.
So it's early in the morning. Are the two of you also staying in the Glass Fish? You would have gotten enough money from Stonehelm.
I was gonna ask how much we ended up getting, all told.
So he
1 million gold.
gave you each 50 gold to start, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then had another 200 to be split between the three of you. So
right.
66 gold apiece.
Yeah, something like that.
just we'll say he gave you 120 gold total each.
Okay,
Um,
that makes it easier.
right, and that way it's just fast math. And then any of the equipment you took, he didn't ask for back. So if you want one of those little runty, ever burning mine torches, you can have one.
Yeah. I mean, although I probably end up asking him about it. This could come in quite handy if you have any to spare, of course.
So like your interaction with him afterwards when he gets his son back, his son's always like kind of like at his hip at that point. And you're
Yeah.
not sure whether like it's his son clinging to him or him clinging to his son. But he's more enthralled with that than he is you guys. So he's not being dismissive, but he's like, "Oh yes, please, take one." Before he goes back to dealing with his kid.
Yeah, so I definitely pocket that.
I'd probably be sitting in the tavern just sipping tea, something like that.
Okay. Okay. So, Tug, would you be awake at 6 o'clock in the morning, or would you still be sprawled out sleeping?
Tug would be awake. In fact, he's probably been awake for an hour or two and eating.
Okay. So, breakfast in the glass fish is generally some sort of fresh baked bread, some sort of meat. Often it's fish, but sometimes it'll be things like duck or deer. It's always game meat. There aren't any real farms close to here, but game seems to be pretty plentiful in the area. So goose, duck, deer, even some boar occasionally, because it's very heavily forested outside. So and then either fresh water, which is drawn up from a well behind the glass fish. It was originally supposed to be a holy water spigot, but it goes way down and apparently taps into some sort of freshwater stream. It has no salty taste, which is pretty good for being this close to the coast. Or you can get milk, which comes from, you're hoping, one of the two goats that you see outside.
Yeah.
And then wine and ales. Like, that's kind of, you can have your favorite, but breakfast is always included with your stay. So if you guys are down there dining, there are two larger men. They're not hugely muscular, but they are muscled from a life of work. And they are sitting at a table. They have multiple documents kind of spread out. If you peer that direction, it's lists, and you can see name like words and then numbers. And then you can see a couple of maps over there also. And one of them has a leather-bound journal that occasionally he writes some information into before closing it again. The rest of the documents seem like people can come, like walk by, talk to them. If they glance at the documents, no big deal. But whatever's being written into that journal, he closes it. Ouch! As soon as he's done writing in it. And they both have that, like I said, that sort of no nonsense look to them. They are tattooed from fingertips up their arms. Neither of them have like any facial tattoos, but they both have kind of bushy beards that are manicured, but they look nappy. Kind of what salt water does to hair, where it starts kinking it. And so they both have rather large hats that they have sitting on chairs next to them, and they're in this conversation. Occasionally Sharon stops by and she chats with them for a few moments. but they seem intent on these books, and you can see that the smaller of the two men, still a large man, he's got a big bushy mustache. He's the one who writes in the book. He seems to get agitated. He has that look of where he's picking up papers and he's like shifting through them, like he's looking for something he lost amongst these papers. And he does get up occasionally and kind of stomp around and smoke and puff on this big pipe before he'll, oh, what about this? And he goes back over and they shuffle through some more papers and he opens his book and he writes something in. And again, he comes to that sort of disgruntled, like he can't find what he's looking for. Sharon comes over to you and she tops off your drinks, asks if everything is okay as far as your food goes, and if you know how much longer you'll be staying.
Do we we don't have a task officially assigned to us or anything right now, do we?
No.
Nope.
No. Now, basically, Belfast. He actually came in from outside as they came downstairs.
Okay.
He was soaking wet. After he went out for his early morning sort of practice, where he basically tried to find an open patch of land where he could practice his sword and shield stylings, and on his way back, he stopped by a well pump and just filled a bucket and dumped it over his head, and he now has a big sort of gray towel hanging around his neck as he comes in, rubbing his hair, and he comes and sits down next to probably well, if he sees Tadeo, he'll say he'll I didn't know you were staying here. That's good to see you again.
I am. There is many tasks available in this town. We should find some honorable work.
Yes, in fact, my friend Tug here and I just recently found one, didn't we, Tug?
You're muted. Let's talk about sister.
He had to think about it a minute.
Yeah. Turkey good. Bread better. Eat.
Yes, eat. The simple pleasures. I agree. So I'll sit down and put up my hand and wave the over some bread and
okay,
milk.
We should check the list of tasks and select something.
Oh, you'd like to work together? Of course, I'd be delighted. There seems to be plenty to do around here for sturdy fellows such as ourselves.
It is what drew me to this place.
Yes, and I can personally vouch for Mr. Tug here. He's quite a good man to have at your back.
Your capability is demonstrated by the fact you are still alive.
Well, I owe at least some of it to this man here. He's as I say, he's good to have in a pinch.
You guys hear down towards the docks. It's obvious it's coming from that direction. The sort of clang of a large bell, like a boom doom boom doom boom doom, and it's evident it's meant to be heard. Perhaps all the way up to Lady Bellwood's estate, but it just boom, 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 and the two guys at the table, they both look over, and the guy with the bushy mustache, he slams his book closed again and goes, "Huh, the man we've been waiting for." And he stands up and he starts moving that direction. The other guy's kind of left there with all these papers and starts like not carefully putting them away, more like raking them into a bag, just like
I'm gonna get up and walk up to this guy, just walk right up to him.
Okay.
What is the significance of that sound?
He looks at you, cocks an eye, and it means Shork's here.
Who is this Shork? Why is he warrant ringing of a bell?
Well, come down to the dock and see for yourself. I don't know that I could. I don't know that my description would do him justice.
I will judge for myself.
And
I
he
look back
kind
at
of
my
looks over
companion.
at the table
Sorry.
that he saw you get up from. Tell your friends to come too. It's not often you see a goblin pirate captain.
There is supposed to be a remarkable individual arriving. I wish to see for myself.
Yeah, why not? So I in just one long drain, I drain the milk, take a bite of the bread and stuff the rest into a large coat pocket, and give Tug a slap. Come on, we're going to see a pirate.
Tug stands up, grabs a couple of pieces of the turkey, throws it between two slices of bread, and walks out carrying the jug of water. Okay.
As we're walking to the docks, I'm going to say to one of my companions, anyway, or both, in these lands, are pirates not thieves?
Honestly, I don't know. I've heard tell of some lands where pirates are actually hired by local kingdoms to pirate other kingdoms. Privateers, I believe they're called. What
They
this
sound
goblin
like
is, I don't know.
honorless thieves.
Clearly they haven't raised the alarm of any kind, so I'm presuming that we're not in any danger as such.
Not nice
Or
people.
these people are a poor judge of character.
Well, we're going to find out, Tug.
Okay.
So, you are not the only people heading down towards the docks. A lot of businesses are like the merchants and stuff are coming out and hanging signs on doors to say "We'll return," locking up and heading down towards the docks. And
I'm
so,
giving like everyone stern looks.
fools. So it becomes like a little parade down there. And your kids are like running ahead, and moms and dads are yelling for them to come back. Even the smith, who is cleverly named Dandis Smith, because names. Even he is probably the most no nonsense person in the entire town, including the dwarfs. Even he has put up a sign saying that he'll return, and has brought his like massive frame out, and is walking shirtless. Still holds his smith hammer in his hand. He's dripping sweat and smells like it, but he has cleared his business and is moving down towards the dock. So as you guys step out and you kind of come around the edge of the buildings, and you can look out into the bay. So you see the bay, and you can see the skeletal remains of a couple of the ships, and then where it kind of comes down to what would be the jaw of the skull if you're looking down at it, right? The mouth of the bay.
Mm-hmm.
There is this ship coming in, and it is massive. So if you could imagine a 4-story Chinese junk, the ship, with 3 masts, and it's decorated with junk. Like there's just, it's got like a moose head on a placard like nailed to it, and it's got tapestries that are torn and ripped with and stained, and rugs that have been like nailed to the side of it. as you see it, when it comes in and it starts to make that turn to come up towards one of the piers on the dock, it has 4 cannons down each side of it. It has 2 cannons on the front of it that have these small green-skinned, fanged individuals sort of sitting in seats with them, and they kind of, you see that they kind of flip the parrot cannon up, and they slide out of their seats. And all along the railing of the ship is just goblin after goblin after goblin after goblin, and some of them are waving, some of them are screaming about stuff, and they have like cages with small animals in them. A couple of them are just like randomly like shooting crossbows into the air, which then explode in like little fireworks. And up at the helm is this goblin who's sort of doing his best Jack Sparrow impersonation. He's got his hands on his hips, his big billowy coats out behind him. He's got his tricorn hat on, and he's standing there very triumphantly as this ship comes into dock. When the anchor is dropped, you can see that the anchor is this skull of something like a mammoth. And he's got the tusks have been replaced with iron, and king ding 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 spoosh, and all the kids are cheering and laughing, and this big gangplank comes out and touches down, and all the goblins line the gangplank, waiting for this the captain presumably, and he comes clomping down. He has a peg leg, but it is mechanical in the fact that it kind of hinges. So he walks with this sort of like squeak, clank, squeak, clank, squeak, clank as he walks, and occasionally it kind of hiccups, so he jiggles a little bit and then squeak, clank, squeak, clank. As he comes down, and people kind of part out of his way, and he smiles and he waves. He's got a scimitar on his side. He's got a pistol grip crossbow tucked into the front of his vest, and he comes down. He takes off his hat. He's got a few strands of greasy white hair that kind of float about as he waves his hat at people. And some of the kids are cheering. Some of the citizens are cheering. Some of them have kind of harumphed and have their arms crossed in front of them. But the guy with the bushy mustache from the tavern has made his way down to the front and is kind of standing in the path of this goblin, whereas everyone else is sort of cleared out.
So I've stopped a little short of all this, and I kind of envision this town as being sort of layered, like you go up steps to, because it's sort of built into the hill, isn't it? So we kind of maybe stop like one step up essentially, and find a little wall that I can just put my foot up on and kind of lean on my knee, and I'm kind of watching all this from just a slight elevation. Kind of seeing how people react to him. As I'm sort of like tying this towel around my head into this big, this big ball to let my hair dry. And,
I would. I'm sorry.
No, I just kind of turn to my companions and say, "There's something you don't see every day."
I would be one of the people with arms crossed, tutting the whole time.
Sure.
Boastful, ugly, wasteful.
Pretty.
What is pretty about it? Garbage hangs from the sails.
Pretty garbage.
No. One man's garbage is another man's treasure, I suppose. But see no fear in anyone's eyes, certainly. Slight disapproval from some, but
yeah, no fear, disapproval definitely. And as the captain walks past people, other goblins kind of file in, and people start going up to them And even though you can't hear it, and it is in a mix of common and goblin, you can tell they're bartering like instantaneously, right? Like people are like, "Oh, I have this deer skeleton. What will you give me for it?" And the goblins are like, "I have 6 springs and a half of an anvil. Will that work?" And that's kind of where things start. It's always barter before coin, but if you watch long enough and listen intently enough, some of it is just straight up coin exchange, right? Whether they're buying stuff from the goblins or the goblins are buying stuff from them. But the goblins begin to come down, and they have these very strange animals. We would recognize them as like chimpanzees. You guys would not necessarily know what they. Actually, Rob, you said you're from the Orient area, right?
Yep.
So you recognize these. They live in the jungles in your area, and they're
ugly animals. They got no business being pets.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing is, like, there's a lot of religions that worry that maybe they're almost intelligent enough to have a religion of their own. Like, so this borders on slavery in some people's minds. But they also have like parakeets and toucans and flamingos and just all kinds of weird. And then they also start bringing out like suits of armor from your homeland, Rob, from other homelands, all these different like suits of armor, and they're setting them up and they're dickering and selling them.
I'm going to silently assume they're stolen.
You say you're going to assume they're stolen?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're goblins.
It seems this spork leads a band of thieves. I see no reason for his worship.
No. Clearly the town adores him. I see no reason to get on their bad side, but you may be right.
So you can't make out the words, right? Not over the commotion, and if you guys are staying just a little bit above to sort of be able to see everything. But you do see the bushy mustached gentleman has, like I said, he's sort of blocked Shork from going any further. And there is a lot of like finger jabbing. Like, he never touches the goblin, but there's a lot of like finger waggling in his face. And he gestures over, and as you kind of follow his hand, there's a warehouse that sits. One of the docks nearest the mining office runs out, but it's the left side of it, if you were to walk down it, has access to the water. The right side butts right up against those same foothill cliffs that the mining office does. If you remember, you had to go up those to get out the north side of town. This dock does, and there's a warehouse that's kind of built over there on top of this particular dock. And when you look over there, you can see a sign above it that says Kinman Shipping Company. And that's where the human keeps gesturing to, and the goblin captain kind of shrugs and is very nonchalant about, not knowing what he's talking about. And then you see that leather-bound journal come out, and he kind of like shoves it into the pointed nose of the goblin, and he's like pointing at things. And
yeah, I'll turn to Tadeo and say, let's say we get a better idea of what's going on.
Yes, clearly this is important to the people around here. I would know why.
So yeah, we'll make our way down through the crowd. I'll make my way down with the excuse of I want to get a look at the armor.
Okay.
Just so it doesn't look like we're eavesdropping. Although we are. Although on the flip side, I am interested in the armor.
Okay.
I And
more
doesn't have much.
more random items start piling out from the ship, and they all have one or two goblins per like type of item, right? So there's like one or two goblins that are over there handling the armors, one or two goblins that are handling the animals, and then these stone and wood statues. Stone or wood statues. Like they're not stone and wood, if that makes any sense. There's stone statues and there's wood statues. There we go.
Mhm.
They start coming down and they're wrapped in these cloths, and the cloths are drawn off in this dramatic flare. And people are oh, and then some of the wealthier individuals here, they go to those goblins and start talking to them. And again, Tadeo, you get the feeling like those look like they belong in a temple somewhere or a monastery or some rich guy's house and not on a goblin pirate ship. Like,
So I'm not going to interfere, but as I see these, opportunist merchants, goblins selling this shit, I'm going to like look each one in the eye and just like dare him to talk to me. Like, do not fucking speak to me.
So the goblins talk to you, but they speak mostly like they're like 80% goblin, 20% common. Right? And then between your accent or way of speaking and your what I'm guessing is a lack of understanding of goblin, they turn their attention back to the humans or the citizens of Skelligsport. Tug, one of the goblins comes out to you, and you're a pretty massive guy. He's a pretty tiny guy, and he's got this really small carved statue of, I don't know if Tug would be familiar with it, but it would be it's a statue that has been carved out of a piece of ivory or tusk, but also has scrimshaw in it, right? So it's an elephant that has a scene that's kind of been carved and dyed into the side of the elephant.
Oh, neat.
And he comes out to you and he like pulls the cloth off, and basically the parts you understand is he goes, money, money, pretty, money.
Pretty.
Pretty money.
How much?
He you see he steps back and he eyes you up and down.
The walking rust monster.
Yeah,
Then he looks over at one of your companions.
I lean into Tug and I say, 2, no more than 2.
One.
He kind of like recoils a little bit, and then
I give Tug a nod, like good job.
You see, he thinks about it. 5.
I wince as if like, ooh, that's So and I
1, 5. So it's 1 up here and 5 down here.
I translate just so there's no confusion. 1 1/2. He's saying
4. And then as you're looking at it, he turns to this like business owner. Pretty for money. And then the merchant's kind of considering it too, but then he looks at you and realizes he's looking into your chest, and he's like, but he'll dicker with you back and forth. If you're willing to go up to 2 gold, he'll sell it to you for 2 gold.
I'll give him 2 gold for it.
Okay, so he gives you this pretty only 1. He hands it to you, and then turns around and grabs another one that's almost identical to it, and he goes to the merchant. For money. And this happens a lot. So as you guys are kind of looking at the armor and the statues and the animals, right? You can the conversation with the bushy mustache guy, who you're assuming is Kenman from Kenman Trading Company, or at least works over there.
Yeah, someone important to the company. Yeah.
Right. And Shork, Shork is doing his best to ignore things or to so what you get is the gist is Kinman has found that every time that Shork has come into town, he has lost inventory from his warehouse.
I kind of catch Tadeo's eye. Yeah, I kind of catch Tadeo's eye and give him just a very subtle nod.
To which Short kind of responds, sort of indignant. I'm a pirate. I don't steal from warehouses, only ships and villages and unsuspecting caravans. Never a warehouse. Shork is not a thief. Pirate. And that kind of like there's a bit of a back and forth, but Shork's not moving off the fact that he's a pirate. He's not, and it gets a little heated at one point. The bushy mustache guy gets all the way up on top of Short to where he's kind of doing that comical looking down, and Short's having to kind of lean backwards to look up. And you see that he's seething, right? This guy has yelled to the point, and Short has stayed calm, but he's yelled to the point now that foam, like that spittle, is coming out, and he's getting hoarse in the throat. And so you see his hand reach down for the sword that he carries.
I want to step in at this point, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm gonna step in. I'll take my hair out of the towel at this point, which is sort of hanging over my shoulder. Kind of give my hair a shake, so this hair is just kind of flowing around my shoulders. And I step in, gentlemen, please. This is unseemly.
Can all three of you give me a perception check as you're doing this, please?
Oh, sure.
Breaking the dice.
11, sort of. So
11, sort of.
Kind of. Well, it's an 11, so it's kind of a perception check. But
it's actually a 1. But if you stare at it funny,
right?
It was 2 1s.
I get a natural 19.
Okay. Tug, what did you get?
Six.
Okay. So Tadeo, you're the only one that notices, but there are a couple of goblins that are kind of still up on the rail of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And as this mustached man makes that sort of like 2-inch draw before Belfast steps in, you can see that the two goblins that are both sort of lean over in this very like deftly agile way, where they kind of wrap their legs into the railing and they lean really far down, and they have heavy crossbows that are now kind of pointed down at the mustached guy. But they are so quiet about it.
So my reaction to that, I'm going to jump in front, like in between the path of where they would shoot a crossbow and this guy.
Okay.
Thinking this guy's important, and that kind of ties into my background, sort of what I'm training to become as a protector. So
Sure.
So
the mustached man kind of he kind of takes like that half step backwards, partially letting someone who's armored like yourself do that, but also in that what just happened sort of way. And so you immediately feel this kind of hand on your back. that belong. I mean, it's the mustache man, but he's kind of got you at arm's distance as he spaces himself from you. And as he does it, he kind of he has that right. He's got his hand on your back, and he kind of does that startled like look around. And for those of you who are looking at this now, because it would have drawn your attention when Tadeo sort of jumped over there.
Yeah.
The quick glance of the mustache guy up also leads both Tug and Belfast's eyes up to. There are two goblins who are essentially, and at this point, they're not even like legs wrapped around the banister anymore. They have ropes that are tied to their chest, and they're like scaling down or hanging down from the ship in this manner. So they're free suspended, and they do have heavy crossbows that are loaded and cocked that would clearly have been pointed at the mustached man and are now kind of pointed at Tadeo. They have not fired, but they are pointed that way.
All right, Steve.
Yeah.
Tug would have reached out when that guy started to draw his sword. Tug's hand would have gone down over top of his to prevent the draw.
Okay, so this stuff kind of all simultaneously happens, right? Like Belfast steps in and goes, "Gentlemen, please, about the same time that this catcherman of a hand comes over and stops that short." Like maybe that's the reason that he only got the 2 inches draw, right? He runs into Tug's hand, and then that exact moment, Tug gets shifted a bit, and like Tug gets shifted back right. Belfast gets shifted a little bit left. The mustache man gets shifted back right as Tadeo just interposes himself, like with this sort of rapidity that only comes from a person who has trained to interpose themselves, right? Like it is evidently clear to both of you, even though neither of you have experience with bodyguards, that if you were to think of what a bodyguard does, that's this guy's movement, right? Like he just and Short steps back, and at this point he's a little freaked, so he clears his sword completely, right? Like Tug stopping the human, right? You're not stopping Short. And so when you guys all kind of come over there, and now there are the 4 of you, the mustache man, the 3 of you, and then just Short steps back and he draws his sword completely because he doesn't know the 3 of you, right? And he cries out in this goblin tongue, and you hear a lot of like boxes being closed. Like, so these goblins are out there like hawking these, fake watches or whatever. Like all those boxes kind of close, and some of like that little 5 gold statue just hits the ground, right? Just kink, and it breaks as other goblins are now likewise drawing swords and daggers.
I'm looking at the goblin. I'm not taking my eyes off him, but over my shoulder, I say, "What's your name, mustache man?"
What's your name, mustache man?
Or if you heard it, remind me. I didn't recall.
No. So his name is Sert Kinman. So and that's how he introduces himself. I'm Sert Kinman.
Are you an official in this town?
I say, well, basically, I say, hey, "What's your name, Sert Kinman?" And I without, again, I'm still taking my eyes off the goblin. I say, "Tug, please, get Mr. Kinman out of here."
And
please take him to safety.
Right. So Sert kind of bulls up. He's not a small man. He's 6'2". But I have business. But then common sense kind of hits him as he looks over and sees 40 or 50 goblins with weapons.
If you don't go with Tug, you're liable to have a very expensive funeral.
And so you hear the sh of 2 inches of that sort of like irritated sh. And he peers kind of like around you, Tug, but he can't quite peer over you. So he peers around you and kind of at Short, he goes, "We're not done here." And he turns and throws his hands up in the air. His mustache kind of billows in the wind for a moment. And basically, like he starts walking. You think Tug maybe towards the tavern.
Tug offers him the half a sandwich he's been chewing on. Go ahead and eat. Walk.
So he takes the sandwich. He doesn't eat it, but he takes it. And yeah, he very stormily moves towards at least the stairs that lead up off the docks, right?
No faster than Tug can walk, because Tug still got him by the hat.
Right. I mean that's completely fine. He does at some point kind of wrest his hand from you and mutter something about only good goblins a dead goblin. You know, they should never have allowed them here. And you guys can kind of hear this, but he's saying it loud enough that Short can hear.
Yeah, inside I'm shaking my head, but outwardly, I'm still looking at the goblin. My face is, it's more or less serene. I take my towel off my shoulder and I begin sort of drying my hands and putting it back. Say, well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
He still has his cutlass. That's what I've been looking for the entire freaking time. He still has his cutlass in his hand, and he kind of like he's been holding it in front of himself, and he moves it to the side. And he looks past you to Tadeo.
Mm-hmm.
You make good bodyguard. You want job?
Doing what? You're an official in this town?
This is the goblin talking.
Oh, the goblin. Oh,
yeah.
I'm not even gonna answer him. I'll just like look at him and like give him an intimidating snarl. Like
I don't think he speaks
grimace.
common.
I guess not.
Well, I won't actually speak, but just
right.
Yeah, no, what I mean.
So since no one is immediately attacking him, you do see he kind of flashily spins the cutlass around before he slides it back in, and it doesn't have a scabbard, right? It just sits inside of a ring on his hip. But he runs it back through, and there's this sort of metallic sort of scraping sound as he does, and then he dusts his hands. Exciting.
I turn my back to him to look at Tadeo, deliberately like leaving my back exposed to him,
sure.
and I'll walk over to Tadeo and say, what do you say we head back to the tavern and finish our breakfast?
I care no more for food, but I do wish to speak to this man. The tavern seems like a wise choice.
All right, so we'll head.
Yeah, as the scene sort of transitions back towards the tavern, you do hear Short yelling at whatever goblin it was that dropped the statue because the statue broke. He's fussing at him, and the goblin's kind of standing there with a sword in his hand, like, "What was I supposed to do?" Kind of. There's a moment of pause, but then this bizarre goes right back into happening. Now, Tug, as you're walking this guy back up the stairs, at this point, he's loosened himself from you, but he's slowed to your pace. Like he's brooding, but he's not storming off anywhere. And he says things like, oh sure, his ship comes into town, and I end up with 50 units of wheat missing. Who else would you blame, friend? And then he says other things, that kind of border on mathematics. And none of them really have to do with carpentry, so
what now, what's this guy's last name again? It's Cert
Kinman.
Kinman.
Yep.
Yeah,
and so he kind of, but you guys pass a gentleman who is kind of in that same position that Belfast was earlier. He's got his one foot up on the half wall that kind of stops you from tumbling down to the docks.
Yep.
And he's wearing leathers and a studded leather chest piece. He has a short sword hanging from his hip, a scar that runs the right side of his face, and he has a gold oak leaf sort of badge that sits on the left side of him, and he shakes his head and he looks at Cert and trying to start a fight with the goblins, eh? At which Cert just like vehemently spews hatred for goblins, or at least Shork at this guy, and the last passing comment to him from Cert is, "Well, Greymar, if you did your job, I wouldn't have to worry about it." Before he kind of pushes open the door of the glass fish and goes inside. Tadeo and Belfast, you'll see the exact same guy standing up there. He takes that sort of cowboy piece of wheat out of his mouth and throws it down, and he nods towards you. And he begins walking along this sidewalk that where the businesses are.
Right.
And you see he stops and he peers in windows and he gives the occasional door a push, and when it doesn't open, he walks along.
So he looks like a town guard kind of thing. Or?
Yeah, you kind of get the impression he's a town guard. You didn't see him when the crazy lady was down there spewing her junk, but the fact that he does appear to be wearing a badge.
Okay, sure. So more like a sheriff even. Okay.
So we're following Sir Kinman into the glass fish, yeah?
Yeah, I think basically you'll get in there. He'll be sitting or standing up at what is the bar of the of this tavern, and he's got Tug on one side, who doesn't 100% understand what this guy's complaining about, and he's got one of these prostitutes on the other side who even less than Tug understands what he's talking about. But what you do get in that minute lapse between when they go in and you guys get in is when you come in, he'll complain to one of them and they'll nod, and then he'll complain to the other one and they'll nod. But there's like obviously Tug's not completely stupid, but this guy's talking about losing parcels and how it's cutting into profit, and it seems that only non-taxable sizes go missing, and but he's fuming, and he keeps picking up this tankard of ale, and right before he goes to drink it, he'll set it back down and he'll go back to talking to either Tug or Rosie again. And at this point, Tug, he's kind of talking himself in a circle, right? It's the same 9 or 10 complaints that are just constantly coming out of his mouth. And when you guys, when the two of you come in, if you make your way towards the bar where they are, Rosie kindly gives one of you her spot, and she goes and finds someone who will maybe pay her for what she's there for, because clearly this guy's not going to.
No. Yeah, I'll sit next to him.
You have issues with this goblin pirate. He is a thief, yes?
Shork's he's a pirate. It didn't used to be a thief, but, well, never stole from me until recently, I think.
And what do you have a specific reason to suspect this Shork fellow?
So he reaches inside of his man vest, and he produces that journal, and he slaps it down on the bar and then puts his hand down on top of it, and then with these very calloused fingers, he's jabbing it. Oh, it's all right in here. Every time that goblin and his ship show up, I end up short.
Well, I understand your concern. That's circumstantial at best, though, don't you think?
No, it is not. The goblin is clearly without honor. This is a businessman of honor. It is not coincidence. He wishes to hire us to find out who is doing this and put an end to it.
I raised my
so he
eyebrows
was
and I look at both of them like
he was pointing
something?
at Tadeo the entire time he was talking. Like, yeah, listen to him, listen to him. Right until he said pay, and he was like,
well.
ugh. So he stops and he turns and he kind of leans back on the bar. He still has that mug of ale. At this point, it's kind of sloshed more than it's drank. You think you could prove it?
You wish us to bring him.
I wish you to. Well,
I tell you what we can do. We can investigate your theft. I would be happy to do that.
okay.
If you have a personal vendetta against this particular person and you wish to make sure he's guilty at all costs, then I'm afraid not. We're truth and honor, sir. Although,
Are you blind? Can you not see who is clearly the more honorable person here?
Not nice hit, little people.
I forgot Tug has that problem.
Thieves are thieves.
I say, we can discuss the details in a moment, Tadeo. But if you are interested in hiring us, we would be happy to look into this matter and sort it out one way or another.
Rob, would your character be familiar with military groups, like different branches of actual knights?
Well, I'm paladin, samurai. So I would say if it's native to my land or, within range where I would have heard of, then yes.
Okay. Go ahead and just give me a history roll if you have it, or
Sure. 16 plus something.
Did you say 16 plus something?
Yeah, it's actually 15. So 16 minus 1.
All right. So, you would recognize the symbol for its sort of knightly reasons. Tug, you recognize it because you grew up with these guys. So on his left arm, he has a bunch of sailor tattoos, right? Like you can tell, like everywhere this guy's gone to port, he's gotten a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
But on his left arm is a mostly sheathed longsword that has the scabbard of it has two stags that are. Do you say rampant with stags also? Like they're
Yeah, I would
on
think,
their hind legs,
I think
right?
so.
All right. So those for you, Tug, would have been the king's, like the road protectors. These are the guys that would have traveled the roads. They would have gone to villages and kind of acted as judges for smaller crimes. And Rob, you know of their order as they're lawgivers. Like that was like you don't know much about them, but you have been told in your training that that's what that symbol means.
Okay, I point right at it while I'm talking to Belfast. See,
Mm-hmm.
a man of honor, a man of law. Clearly, this sport is not.
Mm-hmm. I don't doubt either of those statements. What I do not automatically assume is that particular scoundrel stole from this particular honorable man.
So we will find the proof of it.
So
When we find this proof, may we kill him.
So Sir
Not
kind of
nice hit, little people.
Sir kind of rubs the tattoo that you pointed at. No, when you find out that he's the one that's stealing from me, he'll have to stand trial like anyone else.
Agreed.
As you wish.
Just because he's not from here doesn't mean he's not accountable to our laws.
Well,
As you wish.
then our investigation starts immediately. Let's start with what was stolen and when.
All right. So he walks you guys over to that same table that he was at earlier. And one of the ladies comes over and can you send someone to Gilman and just bring him here? And she kind of looks irritated by that because it's not her job.
Right.
But he does lay down 2 gold pieces, which she snatches up and then presumably goes to find Gilman because she leaves the building.
Okay.
So he takes out this ledger and he spins it around and then places his big hand over it, so a lot of it's obscured. This is confidential business. I can trust that none of this would be repeated to anyone were it not necessarily for.
Well, myself and Tadeo hold honor in high regard, and my friend Tug can't read, so you're perfectly safe.
Poor Tug. He looks over at you, Tug, and he
Tug
smiles at you.
Tug can't too read. It's just his mouth moves as he's puzzling out the word.
Right. So he smiles. He smiles over at you and remind me of someone. And he goes back to. So he walks you through. All right. Shork and his goblin ship have been coming here for almost a year. They come in once a month, sometimes twice a month. So in the year to this point, in the 11 months that they've been coming in, they've been in 15 times. 10 of those 15 times, and he'll indicate in the ledger, items have gone missing from his warehouse. But it's never huge amounts of any one type, right? It's not that a ton of grain goes missing. It's 5 sacks of grain go missing. But also, a shipment of cannonballs and an anchor and, a crate of wagon wheels. Just random things go missing. So, and he kind of gives you a brief lesson on Kinman shipping. They handle both like water shipping and inland shipping, right? So, a lot of goods pass through him, which is why it seems that his wares are so random, because they are. He will literally, like, if you want it shipped and it's not too illegal, or if he doesn't know it's illegal.
Does he actually imply that?
No.
Okay.
No. But when you look through the list of things, they're like, Tadeo might see some things in there that are questionably legal where he's from.
Yeah.
Like there might be like some like a venom that Tadeo's used to in his native lands that is used as like almost like an anesthetic. That is supposed to be you keep it there, you don't ship it out. But the fact that it's on this manifest shows at some point someone broke a law there and got it at least this
right.
far.
So somewhere along the line, a law was broken, right?
Right. But here, like, you don't know there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
So 10 out of the 15 times, he's come up missing stuff.
So the first was it the first 5 times it was nothing, and then after that it started happening?
So it was the first 2 times nothing happened. Then there was a consistent run, and then there were 2 more times where nothing happened, but he'll point out, I hired extra guards those times. Some adventurers were looking for work.
How many people do you have working for you? This place with the goods went missing.
The warehouse itself, 5. Myself, Gilman, and 5 others. 7.
We should get their names.
Yes. And how much was all of this worth? I mean, I see here there's several bags of grain. I mean, I know it's not, it's not nothing, but is it?
So if you were to lump it all together,
yeah,
over the 10 times that he's been robbed, it's 1,000 gold.
Okay.
And it's almost like calculable to that point.
Yeah,
it's almost exactly 100 gold worth of stuff. It basically comes up to like 99 gold and 99 silver type of deal.
Yeah.
Right? Like someone knew to keep it under a certain limit for a certain reason.
Yeah. It says some of these are rather big items, but so we noticed that it was kept under a certain amount.
Yeah. I mean, after puzzling through, like if you, but between you and Tadeo and even, I mean, that might be even one of the things that that Tug notices, right? Is even when it's like
he's kind of like Rain Man. Definitely two bags missing. Definitely 2.
Well, it's more like there's been a couple of times where it's been carpentry stuff that's gone missing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what catches Tug's eye. But yeah, when you go back and total it up, it's always 99 gold, 90 silver, like every single time.
I ask
dishonest employee working with them, perhaps.
Yeah. Or working on their own. Maybe they could be using this as an excuse to do it, thinking that
clearly the goblins are guilty, at least some of them.
I don't doubt they're guilty of something, but this we don't know.
We'll get the proof.
Yeah, so he does write down the names. He does write down the names of the 5 guys who, or 4 men and 1 woman that work in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Other than himself and Gilman. So it's Brett and Franks, Iopon, and Coy are the guys. And he describes them each to you and gives you a little bit of background. So all of them are residents here.
Mm-hmm. How long have they worked there?
So all of them except for Coy have been with him for years, like 5-10 years.
Okay.
Coy is new.
All right. I say we noticed that none of the thefts have ever been over 100 gold, and I mean conspicuously so. Do you any thoughts on that? Does that 100 gold mean anything to you? Does it go in a different ledger? Would it be recorded differently? Is there a margin of error? That's
greater penalty for the crime.
Right, something like that.
He nods, but if it was over 100 gold, I'd have to report it back to the main company.
Ah, interesting. Now, why would the pirate care about that? I wonder.
Not the pirate, but the employee working with him.
I wouldn't think that any of the lads would steal from me. But if Shork knew about it, and if I were to report it back as a loss, it's possible that the family would send more guards, or would launch some sort of investigation of their own, and that might mess Shork up. He wouldn't be able to come in and do his scallywagging.
How
much do you
when
imagine
he visits, how long does he stay for?
Yeah.
1 night.
Ideal.
He'll be in this morning, gone tomorrow.
How many oh crap, just let me train of thought. Uh, crap. Shit, I had something. Fuck. That's me, the player, not the character.
Right. He just
Yeah. Damn it! Fuck. There you go. My character has Tourette's. Fuck.
We should visit this warehouse and look it
Yeah,
over.
that's a good idea.
Learn where goods are likely to be moved out of. Some of these items are not small.
Oh, I remember what it was. Do you have any being a merchant yourself and what kind of being aware of the flow of money? Any idea how much they make just on the docks? For their little flea market. I mean, my friend here spent 2 gold just himself, and I saw at least dozens of other people spending many more times that. I mean,
if I had to
If all
guess,
the items are stolen, then there is no purchase cost. It would be all.
Well,
if I had to
that's not my
guess,
point.
it's several hundred gold, maybe 1,000.
Yeah, that's not my point. The point is, determining if the risk would be worth it. But yes, we should go take a look at the at your establishment, of course, to get a lay of the land, so to speak.
Perhaps
don't
it's
mind.
not all the goblins, but some of them.
Stephen, what's
Yeah.
the name of the lady that runs this place?
Sharon.
Well,
And she's kind of standing over there watching the conversation. Whether she's eavesdropping or not,
okay. When Tug sees Sharon, since he really doesn't understand what these guys are talking about, he's going to pick up that piece of scrimshaw and walk towards where Sharon is, carrying
Okay.
it in both hands, blushing a little bit and sort of dragging his toe. Pretty.
I smile. I get a smile on my face, and I kind of nudge Tadeo and gesture with my head.
Pretty for you, and hand her the big piece of carved ivory.
she very graciously takes it, and she takes a moment to admire it, and asks you if you know what the animal is. And then she tells you it's an elephant, and she points across the room at Tadeo, and she tells you they're from like his area. They're very big and kind of like you. She's not wrong. And
His ears are now redder than his beard.
right. So she takes it, and she moves like some like bottles on a shelf and makes a space for it and puts it up on a shelf behind the bar. And yeah, she's very gracious about it.
At which point, Tug turns, and you have never seen him move so fast before as he rushes down the stairs and back to the other guys.
All right.
Let us be to the warehouse to make our observations. If our work goes well, you can come back and complete your conquest tonight.
All right. So Gilman never shows up, but Cert does stand up, and he takes you to the warehouse, and it's got a large, not a double door, but a huge like cargo door. The door itself is about 15 feet wide, 12 feet tall. It's 2 large doors, and set in one of them is a door. Right, so he opens it and lets you guys into the warehouse. The warehouse itself is not super well lit, but it's lit-ish. And he walks you guys in. There are oil burning lamps on the walls, as well as suspended from the ceiling. That's not to say that there are no shadows in here. There are tons. The warehouse itself extends over the water. So if you were to enter it from its easternmost side, its southernmost side is water, right?
Okay.
Let's see here. Screen share. This one? Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Huh.
So let me change to something red and noticeable.
Mm-hmm. This is a map of the warehouse.
This is the map of the warehouse.
Okay.
So where the pencil is right this second.
Yep.
That's the big door. This jagged wall is where the warehouse was actually built up against that cliff, right?
Okay.
So that is natural stone. It is wet to the touch. The ceiling does not join it super well. There's probably a 6-inch gap up there.
Yeah.
This is an office.
Mhm.
This is the main office.
Yeah.
And all the brown are different. They're not all rectangles, but different cargo.
Piles of cargo. Yeah.
Right. The ones down here, he'll tell you, are the ones that will be going out next.
Mm-hmm. Now they're over water, but is there any kind of hatches in the floor of any kind? Like
there are, and I'll put them in for red right a second. If you would imagine, there are hatches kind of set along this that they can open up and lower into boats,
right?
As well as here, and here are 3 cargo doors that can be opened to allow a larger ship with gangplanks to have their stuff loaded in there. That's so many squares on there. Wow.
It would be helpful to know which shipments are supposed to go tonight so that we can spot the one that isn't.
Okay, all the ones that are over here above the water will be the ones that will be shipped out in either today or tomorrow.
Now, where was there any particular places where the items were stolen from?
No, everywhere.
Okay, so everywhere throughout the place. Not just from the area ready to go.
Correct.
Okay.
There we
go. Do you mind if we look around?
Just don't move anything. It's all organized by.
No, of course not. And you're welcome to send anyone with us if you're concerned. But
he kind of looks at Tug. I don't know why, but I trust you. I gotta go find Gilman. He should have been here by now. And so he goes up a ladder or a small set of stairs, which are in this early area. And he goes up into that office up there. Now, it does not have like windows like you'd see in a modern warehouse. It's just open, right? There's no glass.
Yeah. It's just like a railing or something like that.
Right. But he's up there and he goes about his business.
I turn to Tug. I say, Tug, you know wood fairly well, yes? You good with wood, as it were?
Yes.
Maybe you could look around at some of the doors and hatches and see if there's any damaged or broken wood, scratches, as if someone broke it or tried to break it. Would you be able to do that?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Tug. So there's the main door, 3 hatches, 3 cargo doors.
I was going to go over to that stone wall, and I want to kind of give that a look. I'm kind of looking for any signs of, any signs of disturbance, like at the base of it, like bits of extra rock broken at the bottom, or
Sure.
anything along that whole area.
Does anyone have anything that gives them the ability to detect secret doors, traps, or stone cutting?
No, not really.
I don't think so.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go almost to the middle of the warehouse. I'm going to take a blindfold out, which has like kind of colorful little simple paintings on it.
Sure.
Wrap that around my eyes, and then beneath my armor, I pull out a necklace, and it has 2 fish on it. And I take one fish and put it in each hand, and I hold my hands out at the side, like straight out, and sort of cross pose. And I'm going to cast Divine Sense and slowly walk through the area. So
I was going to do something similar, but I'll let you do it. Cool.
So I'll just read you the description quickly. So the presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor, and powerful good rings like heavenly music in your ears. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces. Till the end of your next turn, you know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you. You know the type of any being whose presence you sense, but not its identity. Within the same radius, you could also detect the presence of any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated.
Okay. Awesome. So you, man. So imagine if you could get a gut feeling from the left fish and then a different gut feeling from the right fish, if that makes any sense, right?
Well, as I said, it's a smell for evil and it's a ringing for good.
Right. So imagine if like the left fish started ringing and the right fish started smelling like rotten fish.
Yeah.
Okay? But they're both pointing back in the same direction to this this largish crate back here.
Okay. I'm going to walk closer, and I'm going to repeat my little ritual and walk around the crate and try and... How big is this crate? It looks like a massive crate. I'm not sure.
So it's really not. I didn't do anything to scale. It's
okay.
It's about 4 feet tall. It's about a 4 foot crate, right? So 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot.
I'm going to go over and look at it. Is there any markings on it? Any shipping labels, paintings, symbols identifying what it is, where it's from, where it's going?
It has a bit of hay poking out of it. It's very obviously nailed together. Like you looking at it, you may not think anything of the construction of the crate or the nailing, but it is nailed together. It has some black markings. Do you speak Draconic?
No, Elven in common.
Okay, so it has an Elven feel to it. It looks like Elven written with the wrong alphabet.
Okay.
That's what you see.
I'm going to gesture to Belfast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he gets close, I'll say, there is something odd in this crate. Something I sense both good and not good.
So I'll walk over, and actually, as a matter of fact, I do speak Draconic.
Okay.
So if that helps, I look at the writing.
Yeah. So it says the word Ilikshan on it, which is a kingdom to the south. Okay.
So I say I described it in the Ilikshan, a kingdom to the south. Do I know anything about them in particular?
That they are host to a lot of cults, people would say.
Okay.
Like it's there's a lot of would-be god kings down there that look for items that would empower them or at least bring them reputation. Tug, give me Give me an investigation check and a carpentry check.
In the meantime, I'm going to say to Belfast,
Mhm.
I know you have the sense. Use it. You will see I am right.
All right. Boom.
Steve,
Yeah.
carpentry is going to come off of what?
So it would be actually it's just a tool use. So it would be your wisdom and or
Proficiency.
proficiency, right?
Okay.
If you were looking at it, it would be your dex and proficiency if you're trying to build something.
Build something,
Right.
yeah.
All right.
It might be performance if it's art.
Right.
A 10 and an 11.
Okay. So as you're kind of looking around, none of the doors look strange to you. They all seem to be functional. But you do see your two friends over next to this crate, and what catches your attention is the construction of this crate. It has too many nails in it. They didn't just like nail it closed. Like every inch, there's a nail in that lid. Like it's
Yeah.
and then as you kind of look around it, the whole thing is constructed that way.
So yeah, I am going to use my my divine sense. So I put my hand out. I kind of close my eyes for a moment and reach out with my inner eye, and this will, I guess, will also tell me like if it's type of like celestial fiend, undead, that kind of thing. If something like that in it, and yeah, I assume I feel the same sort of conflicting.
Yeah, it's very conflicting.
Yeah. Do I get any sense of any kind of celestial fiend or undead or anything like that?
Nope, just that it
Right.
it radiates both. Like at moments, like the good seems more prevalent than the bad, but it radiates both.
I'm gonna pull one of those little bits of straw out from between the cracks, and I kind of roll my fingers and smell it a bit.
Okay. It's dry.
Yeah.
It smells dusty. But it still has a fresh smell to it. It looks similar to the wheat that you saw the guy with the badge earlier, like chewing on.
Yeah. I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna kind of get down on one knee and I put my ear against the box to see if I can hear anything inside. My one thought was, are they shipping something like alive in here, or
Gotcha. You don't hear any noises coming from it.
Steven,
yeah, good.
Looking at that 4x4x4 crate,
Yes.
you said it was sealed with a bunch of nails.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Using the carpentry skill, are the nails all the same? And were some of them placed later? It would be a difference in the color of the wood around the nail itself if they were dated.
The nails are all the same. They look like they were all hammered in at the same time. But you also notice that the wood is different than any other crate that's in here. Right, whereas most of the crates in here are probably, there's a lot of like pine trees in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be the cheapest, easiest wood for them to get.
Mm-hmm.
This seems more like it's an oak or some other really heavy wood. Like someone went through a lot of trouble to make sure this crate was more hardy than your average crate.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, pine was used for two reasons. It's cheap, but it's also self-sealing with its sap. Oak is a hardwood. It doesn't have that kind of sap. Or is this the same kind of wood where the sap's going to glue the boards together as well?
Right.
The water barrier seal.
So as you're kind of looking at this and maybe
prodding it with a chisel.
Right, and touching it and looking at it. It has you can tell that there is this sort of lanolin smell to it. Maybe not the wood, but something packed inside of it. Maybe it is the wood that's been soaked in like a lanolin type oil. Other than that, the other things you guys notice in this area, you do hear the crashing of waves below you as they kind of, well, not crashing, but the lapping of waves below you as they naturally hit the cliff that this place is built off of. The temperature in here is colder than it is outside, but part of that, as you guys sort of peer around, is it is starting to gray up outside.
Yeah.
As that storm approaches a bit. About that time, a young man, bright red hair, maybe age 17, 18, comes in through the main door over there. And he can see, he sees you guys and can I help you?
What is in this crate?
He approaches. I'm not sure I'm supposed to say.
It's
We're
all
on
right.
assignment for your boss.
Yes, we've been hired by Mr. Kinman. He's concerned about the thefts that have been going on, and we're here to investigate. I'm sorry, what's your name?
I'm Franks.
Franks. Well, Franks. Yeah. So, as my friend asked, what is in this crate here? It seems different from some of the others.
He walks over and looks at it and walks around it and. Well, I don't know, but I can go get the list.
Good lad.
Do so.
Thank you.
And so he goes off and very quickly comes back and got a little bit of a ledger with him. And you can see he's counting the different crates. Some statues, it seems.
Statues. Interesting. And
There are objects of evil within.
Well, partly evil.
I just say everything with certainty.
Yeah, I know.
Statues can't be evil? Can
Yeah.
they?
I say, well, yeah, they kind of can.
Well, it's supposed to leave in the next couple of days, so I mean, I guess good riddance, right?
Perhaps. Where's it bound for?
He points at the draconic word. Whatever that says.
Oh, it's going that. So it's going to that country. I see. Where did it come from then?
I
turn to Tadeo and I say, "You see, Kingman was right. This is the brightest lad. Go on."
He smiles. I think it comes from up north. Some adventurers found it.
They do that. Well, any other information there about it that we? Well, hey, you know what? Let me take a look. Why don't you go check on, make sure there are no other ones missing at the moment. You should know this place pretty well, right, lad?
All right. So he leaves, and you hear him counting crates out loud.
And I'll kind of get next to Tadeo, and I'll flip open the clipboard and start looking through it ourselves.
So it does list like some 20 odd crates, right, or 20 odd parcels, and most of them are things like wagon wheels or sword blanks or just really mundane. Like there's literally a crate of bedrolls in here that were delivered here, not being shipped out, right?
Right.
And lots of coils of 50-foot rope and things that adventurers would come and buy that have been shipped in. It does strike you as odd as you kind of look around the 9 crates that are up here. 8 of them are listed as ship in. Only the 1 is listed as ship out.
Okay. Of course, all the other ones over the water are shipping out, right?
Right. And they have different things. Different. Some of them really is just grain. Some of them are tools. A lot of them are crates of ore of different types from the 2 mining companies in town. One of them is even a crate of broken mining tools to be sent back for repair.
Yeah.
Like why they're not just repairing them here, who knows? But I mean, it seems to be pretty mundane stuff.
I'm just kind of shaking my head as I'm looking at it. It doesn't make any sense today.
Anything else going out to the same protocol as the mysterious crate?
Nothing else is being shipped to Elixon, but there are other crates that would be sent that direction. But nothing else is labeled with that.
Anything does the inventory list, the manifest list shipper?
For this particular item?
Yes.
Yeah, it's listed as Lady Bellwood.
Anything else going out by Lady Bellwood?
No, everything else in here is going out from either Stonehelm or Crossrock, the 2 mining companies, or they're going out from some of the family merchants in town. But most of them. Go ahead.
Are there any other crates in here that are like this one with extra nails and different wood?
No, and as Tug would have pointed out, this one's very strange, right? It's not made of the same wood. It is covered in oil. It is nailed super securely. Everything else, if you go to the office that is over here, you can find crate blanks in it, right? Pieces of crates that you would nail together to then form a crate.
Right.
And they have the pieces in there, but none of it's the same material as that one.
Are there loose materials in here that could be stolen, or is there just crates?
It seems just crates. The loose materials all seem to be kept in this office, which does have a padlock that you can see. It's not currently locked, but has a padlock, and there are no other doors into it.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I want to see if any of these other crates contents total up 98, 99, that kind of thing. Value.
In value.
So if you were to doing some quick math, you could get 3 or 4 of the crates at the bottom, the ones that are being shipped out, to equal 99 gold and 90 silver. They would be kind of off a little bit, but you figure, with some bookkeeping rounding, that they would end up thereabouts. And so as you kind of go through this list, you'll notice that the broken hammers have a value, right? That the wagon wheels have a value, so on and so forth. The only crate in here that doesn't have a value listed is the one being shipped out by Lady Bellwood.
Yeah. Well, it's probably priceless.
One other question on that, Stephen.
Yep.
Most of this is metagaming a good bit, but
That's fine.
The most shippers like that insure what's being shipped,
Sure.
and that's either marked on the manifest and or marked on the crate itself.
So if these are insured, it's not listed in the little ledger you have, nor on the crates. It could be in CERT's black book.
Okay.
Because you saw that this manifest has 3 columns of information. CERT's had like 6 columns of information.
Because insurance company might make a difference too.
You would have to get CERT's ledger or talk to him to figure out if it's insured like that.
One thing I want to look for while we're in here is that as these crates go out, there must be someone who verifies, yeah, this is the crate that goes on that ship. Like I'm giving it to the right customer kind of thing.
Right.
That's the individual I want to seek out.
Okay. So as you're puzzling over it, you do see that most of these ships, these crates going out, have destination names on them. And some of them are very clearly marked with what you're assuming is a ship's name, right? Because the Sea Cow is not a kingdom anywhere, but it could be a ship. But if you seek out Franks and ask him, he responds back, "Oh, I can go get Greymar Half Iron. He's a dock master, or Pawn. Pawn's the one that makes sure we put the right stuff on the right boat."
I say,
one would presume that the correct crates go to the correct customer most of the time.
Yeah, we
Except
do
for
our
the times
best.
they're stolen. This is what we wish to verify.
I'll go get Pawn. I don't really like Greymar very much. And so he goes off and about 10 minutes later, he comes in with this dwarven individual. And what can I do for you? I hear you're working for the boss and looking into our thefts.
I'm gonna go to speak, and then I'm angry. I don't really want to talk to this guy. I'm gonna have Belfast explain it.
Okay, so I say, yes, we're trying to talk to everyone who works here to see what sort of information we can find. What do you know of these thefts?
Well, there's been about 10 of them now. And most times it's just stuff taken off of the loading platform here.
Right. And any particular time period that this happened during? Is it late at night, during the day when it's busy?
I would guess most of the time it has to be at night when we've closed up and gone home.
And any thoughts on what pirates would need wagon wheels for?
I guess they sell them. I mean, people buy them, right?
I don't know. We saw the little bazaar down on the dock, and
right.
That didn't seem to be their sort of wares. If you know what I mean.
I suppose so, but if
they have cargo holds,
if you was breeding cows, I wouldn't try and sell you a cow. Maybe some milk buckets or cow shoes or horseshoes for if they wear them. I don't know, but
yeah,
I mean, we have wagon wheels here and rope, and he kind of starts pointing at chests and bed rolls and
those hatches in the floor over there. Can they be opened from the outside?
No, he walks you over, and they have large, sort of sliding, locking bars that hold them. I mean, Maybe with magic, but
Mm.
not normal folk.
Yeah, I kind of nudge them a bit. Are they sort of loose, or are they really hard to pull?
They are like they're in there tight.
Yeah,
Like you can move it. It's not like impossible, but it's not like someone's gonna jimmy a stick up in there and
and Mage Hand's not going to do it either, right?
right. No,
Yeah.
no.
So I kind of a little stiff for magic. Huh. So what? So someone from the inside might have had to open them.
Normally, and so he kind of pushes a crate to the side and he slams one of these sliding locks back, and the doors they dump open. Right, it's like 2 doors.
Yeah.
And you
Gallows,
just see water below you. Now you do see pier pylons that go down. There's coiled rope down there for being tied up to. There's even a little bit of a ladder that would take you down to a small boat underneath of it.
Right.
But
what is the floor made of here? Is it wooden floor?
it's wooden floor, yeah.
Okay, so in a somewhat conspicuous or inconspicuous way, I'm not trying to be super secretive about it. I'm going to hold my Naginta pointy end down, right between where 2 boards join, and kind of sort of rotate it to make just a little hole I can look through. Maybe I'll find a natural little crack, like a little tiny knot or something where the wood's slightly bent, and I'll make a hole big enough that I can see through it while just standing there.
Okay.
Okay.
He pulls on some rope, and the 2 doors close back up. And while he holds the rope up and taut, he slams that lock back across to close it.
Well, thank you. Is there anyone else who is the last one to leave usually?
Well, either be Io or Koi. Depends on the night.
And neither of you left the doors open at all on any of these nights where things were still.
Oh, no, not I or Koi. Io. It's one of the boss's paper pushers.
Ah, I see.
She's up in the office now if you wanted to talk to her.
Yes, yeah, we should do that. Thank you.
I'll walk you up there. And he does, and you open the door, and there is this halfling woman who's sitting at a desk and stands up and introduces herself as Io.
I'm kidding, but grab her by the shirt. Why did you do it?
I was seriously considering that, actually.
Yeah.
Who is it you owe?
What? But I mean, she's very helpful. She answers all your questions. And she'll tell you that normally, like in the past, up until very recently, it's always been her that leaves last, kind of joking, like, the boys aren't going to stay late because they're going to go drink, and someone's got to make sure the paperwork's all in order.
Is the boss still up there?
No, he has apparently left while you guys were over messing with the crate. He's still looking for Gilman.
Yeah. I ask her, I say, who in the company is aware of the sort of 100 gold report limit on thefts?
I
mean, I'm guessing that many of the just hands who move boxes around might not be aware of that or not. But
right, so she basically explains that it would only be herself, Gilman, Cert, maybe Breton, because he's kind of being brought along to replace Gilman.
And Breton's a new guy, right?
Coy's the new guy. Coy's
Okay.
Coy's he's real good at picking stuff up and putting stuff down.
Yeah.
Has he been here a year or less?
Coy,
Like, were there some thefts before he started working here? Is what I want to know.
she kind of like ticks her face with her pencil. Huh. I don't remember any. And then she kind of like leans forward. You think it's him?
Someone here is working with the thieves.
But we're
It's
just
not
asking.
coincidence they always steal the correct amount.
Yeah. We're just asking questions, trying to get all the information. But it's clearly someone who's stealing under the reportable amount. Seems to know something of the inside workings of this place.
He's not very smart. Most and then she kind of whispers, half orcs aren't.
I kind of just let that slide, the racist comment, and say, well, be that as it may, we'll need to talk to this Gilman and Breton. Are they around?
Oh, well, boss went looking for Gilman.
Is he missing?
She shrugs.
Okay.
And as far as Breton, he rode out of town this morning to secure our next shipment of wheat from the farms. But I would imagine he'll be back this evening. You could
Really?
probably find him in the Glass Fish, maybe about 9 o'clock normally.
Okay.
It seems we have at least enough time until the place is ready to close. None of the robberies occur when it's open.
Yeah, I say, yeah. We should go talk somewhere else.
Sure. And she indicates that she's probably actually closing up the business in the next half hour. Like it'll be her goal to be out by then, and then kind of jokes that it'll probably take an hour before she actually closes up. Because she's gonna go get lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. When I get back downstairs, I want to go into that loose items office.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I find, a spool of fishing line.
No
I'm
problem.
just going to cut off a length 2-3 feet, something like that, not very long. And then the 4 crates plus the one that is made of that weird material. I want to each of them, I want to attach, a piece of this fishing line, 1 inch long or 2 inches long, and then maybe a couple little pieces of loose metal that will jingle if it's moved.
Okay.
Maybe a couple copper pieces or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that's fine. You can do that.
I imagine you have some of your coins have the little holes in the middle, because.
Also, one of my sort of hobbies is to make those little sort of wire statues. You bend wire and you make them into.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things I do. So I have a bunch of pieces of wire.
So while he's doing this, I'm kind of standing with him, and I make sure that the Tug is with us. Say, well, we have a few options. We can stay here and wait for someone to possibly try and rob the place. We can go speak to this Breton tonight, or Breton, or probably the least favorable would be to try and get aboard the pirate ship.
Well, where this Breton allegedly is now is only like a couple of minutes walk from this building, right?
No, he's out. He's out negotiating a shipment for the next week to come in. So yeah, he's half a day out, and that's why he won't be back till late.
Who was it? I thought you said there was someone that was just went into.
Well, there was was it Gilman?
So Gilman was there earlier, but can't be found.
Yeah.
Breton is out of town right now, but will be back at the Glass Fish. Probably he's generally back around 9 o'clock in the evening to take dinner.
Okay.
Gilman's
She's getting ready to
losing.
go to lunch right this second, and you've already talked to Franks and Pawn.
Gilman is losing his job because they're bringing somebody else up to take his place. Anybody know why?
Oh, who do you ask?
Tug wouldn't think of it.
Retirement?
Yeah.
So if Gilman's the guy you saw earlier, he's only in his 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, Tug could have easily asked him like, "Why Gilman go?" or something like that.
Sure.
So I kind of say that's a good point. So I'll pop up quickly and ask the young, Io.
So she kind of
why is Gilman leaving?
she puts her pencil down and closes a ledger she's working on. She leans back in her chair and she kind of huts a little bit and shakes her head. Well, all these adventures that come through, and there's always changing hands of lots of gold, and well, it seems that someone else may have bought the services of Gilman. He's a good shipper. He's knowledgeable of actual ships. He's knowledgeable of overland routes for most of the area. He learned a lot from Cert.
Does he live nearby?
He does, and she gives you the name of one of the manor houses that's been kind of converted to the apartment buildings.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should go. I think we should go talk to him first.
Good luck finding them. Boss has been looking for him all day.
Isn't that interesting?
He gets like that sometimes.
Yeah.
He surely would have looked at his house.
Yeah, Gilman's he's an odd character.
Let's see. Why do you say that?
He gets these wild hairs about him, and he doesn't. So when I need peace of mind or reassurance, I'll go see Father John's over at the temple, and he'll talk me through it and maybe give me some of the teachings of. And she lists off like they gotta travel or what. And she'll go through like 4 or 5 different gods. You can tell that she's a more polytheistic worshiper.
Right.
But Gilman, he's different. He doesn't share the same beliefs that we do, and so sometimes that means that he'll take to himself and go out in the foothills or other wilderness and just he's gone for some hours and he'll come back. He always comes back in a better frame of mind, but I don't know what he does out there.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for your time.
She smiles and puts her ledger inside of a desk and locks it.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to leave for a short time. Do not leave before we return.
I have to go to lunch.
You said you could wait an hour?
I said, Tug, do you still have that sandwich?
That's gross. She kind of she's like, no. If you need me, you can find me over in the fish. I'm going to go get some lunch.
We need someone to be here.
Well, then I suggest one of you stays. I've got to go get lunch.
So the place closes for lunch?
Normally speaking.
Apparently.
I mean, it's not like we're going to get any business. Shipments are all set for tonight.
Have taken place at lunchtime either, right?
No. Every indication from everyone you've talked to seems to be they happen after the business is closed for the day.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Very cool.
Very well.
Yeah.
Okay. About that time, this building shaking boom happens as the storm begins to crack overhead. Perfect, she says as she waits for you to all leave the office, and then she locks it, and then she goes down the stairs and she opens that side door you came through earlier, and it is pouring raining. And she fusses a little bit as she steps outside and waits for y'all to exit, and then she locks the door and she runs more or less until she gets to the other side of the street, where she can walk underneath some awnings more or less, and she heads towards the glass fish.
We should seek out this gentleman.
Yeah, I
he
think
seems
so.
Odd, therefore
there's
suspicious.
There's a few odd things. One, he disappears. Number two, he's enamored with adventurers. And three, they just happen to have that very interesting object or objects that have been recently acquired by adventurers. Seems
indeed
an interesting connection of circumstances.
And he currently cannot be found.
I don't suppose you have any way of finding him through non-traditional means.
Hey, Tug, as you're not participating in this intellectual conversation, give me a spot check, or perception check, rather.
Good rolls tonight. 5.
All right.
No, I am a protector. There are others, Keenan, that are the scouts.
Well, then I guess the only thing we can do is
know where this person lives. We can go there.
Let's go. If some of these goods, if stolen, would be too big to have, would be too big to have to be held somewhere.
Yes, I suspect he is dealing with pirates, selling them, keeping the money for himself.
Perhaps.
He is eager to leave the company. It is all connected.
So, as you guys start making your way towards the residential area, you see what is unmistakably a group of about 6 goblins come out of a business, and they throw up their hoods on their cloaks, and they kind of snicker and look at you, and they start moving back towards the goblin boat. Can all of you go ahead and give me a perception? This one would be vision based.
Yeah.
If it makes a difference.
It does not. But that's not too bad.
7.
Huh?
Use time.
18.
All right.
I get a natural 20. I'm stealing all of Steve Senior's luck tonight.
Apparently. All right. Well, Tadeo, as you are kind of, I would imagine, arms crossed, touching these goblins as they.
Oh yeah, I'm eyeballing them heavily.
Right, and you're staring them down as they walk back towards their ship. You see an individual walking up the gangplank, the boarding plank of this ship, and it is no one other than Gilman boarding the pirate ship.
Well,
there is our quarry.
Let's go have a word with him.
Yeah, I'm already walking that direction.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
me too.
The 6 goblins that you saw, they get down to the dock area, and it is a sea of goblins. There has to be 20 or 30 of them, and they are all chittering. One of them holds up what looks like a dead chicken, right? And then 2 of them hold up what is clearly a dead pig. And as you look back behind you, had exited the butcher shop. There's a bunch of clamoring and gibbering as this horde of goblins goes off the dock, kind of over towards where Father John's temple is, and within a few moments have created a makeshift campfire and spit, and which they have shoved this chicken and pig on without plucking it. And they're just like, there's a group of 20 or 30 goblins all over there clamoring, sitting there, and you begin to hear like goblin, like almost like a sea shanty being sung as little goblin like tankards are bonking together, and they apparently give zero cares that it's raining on them.
Yep. All right.
But Gelman went on board the ship with some others, right?
He boarded the ship by himself, it looked like.
Oh. I'm heading right for the ship.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. You get to the ship, and at the bottom of the plank, the dock portion of the plank, can you all give me a perception check again?
14.
Okay.
Not this time, 4.
Stole it back. 14.
Okay. Two of you with 14s will notice that behind the crate down there appears to be an unconscious and snoring goblin. Like, he's supposed to be on guard duty, very obviously, but instead he is unconscious and snoring at the base of this plank next to this crate.
Well, at a glance, does he look wounded?
No, he looks drunk or drugged or otherwise intoxicated and passed out.
All right. Well,
I'll step over and keep walking.
Yeah, I never look a gift horse in the mouth. So,
okay,
we'll proceed.
If he goes to wake up, if I see him waking up as I'm walking over him, I will nudge him off the plank into the water.
Spoosh. No, he seems very, very asleep.
Yeah, so we'll climb aboard, and we're trying to keep an eye on which way Gilman went. Just try and see. We want to follow his footsteps.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be stealthy in particular.
Not particularly, no.
I mean, I'm not being overtly noisy either, but I'm not trying to hide my presence.
Okay. So, you did not necessarily see what direction he went, just that he boarded, because once he steps down, onto the actual
yeah, we can't see him anymore.
Right. But we do have this one. All right. So this is the top level of the ship.
You mean like the main deck?
Yep.
Yeah.
So mast, right? Cargo hatches.
Yep.
Stairs.
Yep.
The helm. And then back here is some sort of like room.
Is the helm at the bow or the stern?
Stern.
Okay. just trying to get my bearings. All right. Yeah. So, can we tell where if you went fore or after?
You can see that this door here is open, and you can also see that a small hatch has been opened here inside the larger hatch, and there is a set of steps that take you down in there as well. So it's one of the two of those ways, unless he has rapidly scaled the mast.
Okay.
I'm going to walk over to that room and just look in the door, look in the room.
Okay. Give me a perception check, please. Stop it, dog.
I'll glance down the hatch as we're heading because we have to kind of head that way anyway. I'm gonna glance down the hatch, see if I see any
17.
wet footprints at the bottom.
Okay. So, inside this room is a small desk. There, in each corner, is a stuffed bear. On the back over here is a crudely drawn map of what you assume is the north, because it shows Skelligsport on the very bottom of the map.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a map of like the Goblin Lands to the north. There's a chair behind the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And that chair is knocked over. Yes, there are wet footprints that go down on these steps here, Alex.
Okay. I kind of to Tadeo and I gesture down here.
I'm going to go over to where he is, but I'm first going to just take a second. I just want to make a casual observation of the room just to make sure there's like no bodies lying on the floor or anything like that, you know.
When you
Like,
walk
I'm not
behind
searching through desks or nothing.
Yep. When you walk behind the desk or glance over it, since it is a small sized desk, you can see that there is a bottle of port that has been knocked over next to the chair, but no body.
Okay. I'm going to pick up the bottle of port. I'm going to pour a teeny little sample in like maybe an empty vial or flask and then leave the rest of the bottle. I'm going to test it later to see if it's poison. I can do that.
Okay.
Mm.
And then I'll head over to where Belfast is.
Belfast. Belfast.
Oh, sorry, Belfast. Sorry.
That's right.
Tug is going to just barely enter, but stand at the top of the stairs, and he is looking out over the deck rather than down where they are.
Okay. So you're standing kind of
Watch.
Yeah. In kind of like this general area where the gangplank goes down.
Yeah.
All right. So down inside this hold, it is dark.
Mm-hmm.
Because goblins have dark vision.
So do I.
Well, you can see that there is stuff down there.
Yeah. All right, I'll head down. And I'll in deference to my friend here, Rob, your character's human, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll take out that little torch I have, and I'll say the word to it to have it light up for him, and I'll hand it off to him.
All right.
I'm going to come down the stairs and I'm going to try to sort of wedge it in the stairs so I have both hands free because I'm using a two-handed weapon. So.
Oh, okay. Well, if I see that, I'll just take it in my one hand because I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tug's just going to sort of drag up the rear a little bit. I mean, after they start down, he'll step further in, close the door that was left open, and move down to the edge of where they are.
Okay.
I'm looking for Gilman.
At this point, I'm just going to follow the wet footprints because if it was pouring rain out, that he's going to leave a trail.
Right. So when you step down into this area, you are immediately met by just room after room after room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of what appear to be different little cargo holds.
Yep.
In this direction, to your right, you can hear what sounds like animals. Chirping, cawing, monkey oohing, whatever the case is.
Right.
You hear those noises. And you see that the footprints go in that direction, But then you also see a set of wet footprints that go in this direction.
But we see footprints going in two directions.
Mm-hmm.
Difference in
Okay.
footprints, size,
They look
barefoot.
very similar.
Okay.
You see, let's see if I can do it this way. You see one set of footprints that looks like it goes this way,
Yeah.
and another set that appear to be going this way.
Okay.
Where are we?
In that red box.
Yeah. I think the left might be our best chance. I don't know why they'd be
I'll
going
follow
toward the
your lead.
animals. Yeah. Yeah. I'll I'll follow them to the left.
All right. They end at another set of stairs that go down, right about there.
Okay. Follow them. And we're not doing this too slow either. Because we're trying to catch up to this guy, so we're
Right.
we're all taking this in, look back and forth, just
Yep.
make a quick decision, and go. And
You can see that with a little bit of observation, those skills, the footprints are spaced like someone running, not
yeah,
walking.
yeah.
All right. So we'll drop down. All right. So you pop out. That's black. Control Z. Pop out right about there.
Okay.
You are now on sort of the gunnery level of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see on each side of you are 4 cannons, all pointed out.
Okay.
They are currently out, and the little windows are open. You can see the rain kind of pouring in amongst them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can get everyone to roll initiative.
Oh yeah. I love it.
Can we know what we're rolling in response to?
No.
You are rolling in response to what appear to be 3 individuals coming from this direction.
12.
13.
Okay.
7.
Yay! Tudeo? 13. Belfast was 12.
Yes.
Tug is a 7. Well,
It's okay.
whatever. Phonetically.
Just letting you know.
All right. So, you are actually going to go faster than these individuals here today. They are 3 human males. They are dressed in slick black leathers, and they have bandanas that are pulled up very rogue-like over their noses. Each of them has either a short sword or a dagger, and they say something in a language you are not familiar with, and they start rushing you.
They're
They're
ninjas.
definitely not goblins, yes?
They are definitely not goblins. If they are
Ninjas.
goblins, they are the tallest, whitest
Got it.
goblins you've ever seen.
Got it.
They're
So
pirate ninjas.
I will
Pirate ninjas.
take some steps toward them and then sort of plant myself with one leg back behind the other facing them.
Okay.
And I'm going to swing my pole armor that's 10-foot reach and smack one. I'm using the halberd stats. It's a Naginta, technically. But
No problem. You are looking for a 14, sir.
no, I got a 3 on the dice. So I swing my weapon and it cuts into the wood like, and then I bring it up in a defensive position.
All right. Belfast, you will go.
Wait.
Oh.
When you attack with Naginta, I have the polearm master feat.
Yeah.
When you attack with Naginta, you can make a melee attack as a bonus action. So I can take the butt of it and spin it around and try and club them with it.
Go for it.
4 damage. And I missed again.
All right.
It looks very dramatic though.
It does. I mean, it looks great, especially in these like sort of confined quarters. To give you an idea, this is the circle is the center mast, right? It drops down this far. You have each side of those. It's not accurately drawn. Each side of those, you have about 10 feet on either side between the mast and where you would step up about 2.5 feet to get to a platform that holds these cannon. The green boxes are boxes of cannonball. And what is very strange looking, it looks like cannonballs that have chains between them.
Oh, grape shot, yeah.
Chain shot, yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously, or not obviously, but each of the cannons also has a chalk behind it currently.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you know, Steve, when an enemy enters my reach, which is 10 feet, they provoke an OA, but that can only happen once per full round. I can only do it to one enemy.
No problem.
Full round.
No problem. Belfast, what are you doing? This guy, by the way, is that won't help at all.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go with pink here. This guy's moving in this direction, and this guy's moving in this direction. This guy's coming down that direction. If that helps.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go around the mast to the other side to intercept him.
Okay.
So I'm gonna loop around. As I'm going, I pull my shield off my back because I just come back from training, so I still have those things on me. Pull my shield up, drop my sword, and I'll meet him on the other side of the mast. Will I get there in time to attack him as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because he's closing with you also, so
yeah.
That distance kind of gets eaten up pretty quick.
Yeah, so I'll kind of like catch part of the mast and kind of swing around and roll 15 plus 4, 19.
You will definitely hit him.
Okay. All right. Fighting in single combat as it should be. 4, it takes 8 points of slashing damage as I go. Hold it right there, fellow.
You slice across, and as your sword bites into his armor, it feels different, right? There is a slickness to this armor, which is very strange. You still see the crimson of blood as you cut him, but you get the feeling that this armor is meant to allow weapons to slide off of it.
Yeah.
Or perhaps is oiled so that they don't make a lot of sound.
Okay. Yeah, as it cuts across, I'll say, surrender and you needn't die today.
He barks back something in a language that you're not familiar with, although it is heavily influenced by Draconic.
Okay. Yeah, just FYI, I have Common, Celestial, Draconic, and Sylvan. So
okay.
But yeah, so I kind of file that in the back of my mind for the moment, and kind of assume he's not going to surrender. So
Tug, you'll go next because I rolled a massive 1 for these guys' initiative, which gives them a 5. So I can't hear you because you're muted.
Hammer comes free, shield comes out, nailed, and he lumbers forward.
All right, are you going down to the one Alex is fighting, or are you going to slide past?
I'm sliding past Rob's.
All right, cool. So you go, I guess, bull rushing kind of up towards this one guy, the one that did not just narrowly get almost whacked in the forehead by an Asian polearm that he's not familiar with. All right, so yeah, go ahead, give me a swing on this other guy.
16.
You hit him.
10.
10 points of damage. Wow. You smash into this guy. And you can hear the collarbone just shatter as your hammer comes down. And he instinctively drops the it's not quite a dagger, it's not quite a short sword. It's kind of in between the two of them. It clatters to the deck as he reaches up and clutches where you just hit him. And he stares angrily, but also crappily at you. As he is just, I mean, he's dropped to 0 hit points, right? Like he just buckles to the floor.
What Tug is good for.
Right.
Yeah.
Rob, go ahead and take your attack of opportunity as this guy attempts to close with you.
Right on. 12. No, sorry, 16. What am I doing?
All right. So yeah, 16 definitely hits him as he attempts to close.
Okay. Roll some damage.
Yeah.
I got 8 plus. Sorry, my first time swinging.
Fine.
8 plus 3 is 11 points of damage.
11
Nice.
points of damage. So
The D10 weapon.
whew. So
Nice.
this polearm slices and pierces into him. And you feel the same thing as the blade slides for a moment before it finally finds purchase and goes up inside of this man's rib cage. And you kind of do that, lift him off his feet for a split second. Because his momentum coming at you as you kind of plant and jab. And he cries out, and for a slight moment, you see this energy that you had not seen in his hand before, that he was about to hit you with. It sort of dies out in this sort of ghoulish purple color, almost like it sucks back into him as he goes limply dead on the end of your polearm.
Okay.
Does this add any weight to my suggestion of surrender? Like this two commands just both died.
So yeah,
died
so
horribly.
the guy looks to both sides of him, and he he does not move any further closer, and instead he begins kind of waving his arms in a circle as he casts a spell.
Okay.
And he disappears from in front of you, and then you hear above you. Like you clearly hear the sound of feet going as he misty steps. There's this of smoke,
Straight up.
and he
Yeah.
misty steps above you.
All right.
And then you hear of these feet like, hey, listen, that's 30 feet of movement. I'm going to use that so I don't die. Run. Which is rapidly met with a hoarse scream and a thud also above you.
Okay.
So, just for clarification, I still haven't taken my turn yet. That was just a reaction to being attacked.
Right, but you went first. They hadn't gone.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine there. I just thought we were moving to
Nope.
Belfast's turn. That's all.
No, the guy instead of attacking the guy, or instead of attacking Belfast, the guy used Misty Step to get above him.
Yeah.
Got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it would take us back to your turn with your dead individual on your polearm.
And the other guy's dead too, right?
The other
Yeah.
guy is at 0 hit points and is doing his best to say, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Okay.
Mentally.
I'm going to pick him up in a sort of a chokehold position,
Okay.
and I will use my lay on hands to heal him for 1 hit point.
Okay.
I'll make sure he's disarmed, and yeah, I'll do that. So I got him held and elbow around his neck kind of thing.
Sure. Belfast, you're next.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
mean-
present him to you. Sort
All
of
right.
this chokehold.
Yeah. I'll kind of look and make sure he's not armed, and I'll kind of get down on one knee with him on the ground. Basically kind of putting my shield against his chest and pushing him up against the mast, and with my other hands, my sword's still in it, but I use my fingers to sort of like pull back the mask.
Okay. You see he is tattooed all the way up to where the mask would cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the tattoos have a very reptilian scale look to them.
Right.
And they if you were to go, those are dragon scales, they would in fact be red dragon scales that he's tattooed with on his face.
Yeah.
And as you look and you sort of maybe like pull back the collar of his leather, it runs down.
I'm going to speak to him in Draconic, and I'll say, what is Gilman?
So it would be about that time that you guys would hear the dunk, and he kind of smiles, and then just kind of looks up with his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Tug, you hear that. You hear was obviously the sound of someone being stabbed or beaten and a body hitting the floor above you.
Head for the stairs, hammer up. Nails.
Okay. I'm going to give you a reflex save rather than a roll to hit because I rolled a critical.
Mhm.
So if you can give me a reflex save to not get brained here.
With what? It's not clear to me what's trying to brain him.
So he's walking back up the stairs.
Oh, okay. When he gets up the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as soon as his head crests that level, someone's croquet malleting him, essentially. I think Tug would very rapidly pick up on it. It's one of those the pins that you see in the masts.
Belaying pin.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you just got belayed.
He just crowned me.
Okay. So it's, on the bright side, it's an improvised weapon, so it's only a D4 and his strength.
Yeah.
So 7 points of damage. As he walks you in the head.
Ouch.
Bonk.
Ow.
It does not prevent you from finishing your movement up the stairs or anything like that. And when you get up there, you see two more of these individuals. One of which is standing over an unconscious Gilman, and one of which just walked you in the noggin. However, they are both obviously bleeding.
Okay. Whoever walked me is going to get walked back.
Go for it.
14.
You hit. Counter bonk.
10.
Okay, you murder him. Poor you was at half points anyway. So yeah, you just, I mean, like, it's almost like you were inspired by Tadeo. You come up and you bring that hammer up into his rib cage, and physically lift him off the floor with the hammer for a moment. And then he just crumples like dirty laundry to the floor.
Tug smash.
And then you all can hear as the guy who's standing over top of Gilman, stop or I'll kill him.
Okay. Complete my move and keep adding one more time. Nails.
All right. So yeah, you finish moving up. Well, go ahead.
The decks on these ships can we are there any spaces at all between the boards, or are they?
Yes,
really
it's
tight
goblin
together?
construction.
Okay, so if we glance up, can we see any of this, or?
You can see that there's a body that's kind of laying across the floor. Two bodies that are kind of laying across the floor. One in more of a clumped position, and the other one is laid out. And then you can kind of make out from these sort of the lightning flashes as they happen.
Mm-hmm.
That Tug is up there. You can see his feet as he's just crested out of this stairwell. But then you can see another individual standing over top of the less crumpled body.
Cool. So I'm gonna gesture to Tadeo, and I gesture like poking up with his thing, and I'm gonna take my sword, and I'm gonna go under the feet of one of the figures standing over the guy, and I'm gonna stab up like through the floor, through the crack in the floor, into his foot if I can.
Yeah, I'll aim for the other foot.
All right, so you guys basically go at the same time, because it's 13 and 12. So go ahead and roll to hit, and then just subtract two
this is a
whatever
weird
your
one.
damage is
Okay.
for going through the floor.
Okay.
So I got a hit.
Yeah, I got to hit to 15 plus. So, all right.
With the minus, I only did 3 damage though.
Okay.
7. How much you taking off?
2 points.
Still do 9. So.
Okay. I'm not sure how you kill a guy through his foot. But
it went right up through the right through the foot up into the calf, like
the femoral artery just
No, it's called the saphenous.
all right, whatever. He screams and falls backwards as both of you take a shower in blood as an artery is severed. All right. So you your movement is halted as this guy's foot gets chopped off. And he falls backwards. He's bleeding profusely but dead, so the bleeding is starting to slow down. And Gilman appears to be dead or unconscious in front of you. But in this eerie moment of quiet, you don't hear any other movement on board the ship at the moment. However, even you realize there has been a lot of screaming in the last 8 seconds. And it's possible that those goblins are going to be finishing up their meal or might have heard this, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a roaring thunderstorm outside, so
I'm going to say thank heaven for Thor.
Yeah, we got one of the attackers alive too. That helps. What I'd like to do is I'm going to take a glove off and reach up through the boards and touch Gelman's back or whatever, and do a lay on hands.
So there's not quite enough room that you can get your hand up in there. It's goblin construction, but it's still meant to support weight. But if you want to walk up the top of the stair and just reach over to your right, you can also get.
I'll do that then.
Yeah.
I'll heal him. I'll heal him for 9.
Okay. So it takes a few seconds. You can actually feel this resistance to the healing.
Okay. It also cures poisons if that matters. Or diseases, but it costs 5 of the healing points you get.
Okay, so you
cure the poison and heal him for 4. Cure the
disease
and heal him for 4.
So you can feel that the magic A was being resisted by him naturally. B, that part of it was used to cure a poison. And then a few moments later, there's this as Gilman comes back to consciousness.
I'm going to stand defensively over the body with the thought in my head that this guy might not be innocent. But
yeah. The guy down here though, he had 1 hit point.
He has 1 hit point. He's hurting.
Yeah, is it? Now I don't want to kill him, but is it possible was 1 hit point just to take him by the shirt, bang him up against the thing to not kill him, just to knock him unconscious at this point?
Yeah, you'd essentially reset him back to 0 hit points. Unconscious.
But I want to leave him stable. I don't want him dying. Is what I'm saying. So,
you can knock him out and then make me a medicine check.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
All right, that's fine.
So I'll just bonk his head against the mast just to knock him out. Let's see. Do I have medicine? No, but I got a 13. So
yeah, all right. So you bonk him and then check his pulse, and he seems to be kind of stable. And you prop his head up so he doesn't drown on his own blood coming out of his skull where you bashed him.
Yeah.
So you have this guy unconscious. You have a bleeding guys all over the place.
Yeah.
You are in the the guts of a goblin ship. And at this moment, now that you guys aren't necessarily like busting butt through here, the smell of goblin becomes pretty
Whoa.
and
Yeah, it
then
does.
you also notice around even on like this the cannon deck here, there's still like the occasional crate or little statue or pieces of armor that that would have been that didn't get sold. Now they're like nailed to the wall type of thing. Like they turned them into decorations. There is another hatch that drops down below here.
Mhm.
And at the exact same moment that you kind of notice that hatch, there's a flash of lightning, a huge thunderclap. The ship
Mhm.
slightly shakes.
Hmm.
And Gilman looks up at you, Tug, and he there's zero recognition of who you are,
Good grief.
but he looks over at Tadeo. He kind of drags his foot out from your touch where you reach to heal him, and there's a second shaking of the ship that happens that does not coincide with a thunderclap, and this bloodshot eye that this guy had the crap knocked out of him and was poisoned. He
Yeah.
looks at you. There's this trickle of blood that kind of comes out of his mouth, Rob. And he says, "They've woken her."
Who has woken whom?
Another lightning flash. The ship shudders a little bit, followed by a clap of thunder.
I'll probably come upstairs by this point, like because everyone's upstairs talking to this guy.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah.
He tries to right himself a little bit. He's holding what would have been a bleeding wound, but magical healing sort of staunches that, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. So he's kind of holding where he had been stabbed into the ribs with a dagger. There's blood on the side of his face where he was laying in his own blood. He tries to right himself, and he leans back against one of the walls of these mini cargo rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this horrified look on his face.
I'm using my towel to wipe the blood off of me, and I, as I'm sort of walking up and all this is going on, I say, "You've got some explaining to do."
And he looks at you, and they've woken her. The
Who
mother
has
snake.
woken
They've
whom?
woken her.
Wait, what?
And he gestures at the black-clad individuals. They, and then he points down, have woken her.
Her who? Speak clearly if you can.
The mother snake. The worm.
Right.
First should be to get you off the ship.
The ship
Let's go.
shakes again. And he kind of like nods yes and no at the exact same time. You're not even sure how his neck manages to do that, but we must.
What is down there?
I have killed snakes before.
Not like her. She's ancient and evil.
Tormungandr.
He kind of, with your help, stands.
How
You
big a
can
snake are we
see-
talking?
You can see that he's covered in gick. And you have this momentary flashback to, you didn't see him walking down the docks. You just saw him all of a sudden climbing up the boarding plank.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it occurs to you that he might have been in the water, or maybe he had been on this ship once and jumped to the water.
Yeah.
And the ship shakes again. You're not going to kill her. We have to leave.
How
Yes.
big is this snake?
You see, he looks from one end of the boat to the other.
Oh,
I look to. I'm going to look to Belfast since this guy's not being very helpful. I say we get off the ship and sink it.
all right. You to take him off the ship. I'll take care of the sinking.
Good enough for me. I'm going to like pick him up in a way that he can't really resist unless he really wants.
Yeah. You can rapidly tell that he's a little shell shocked, but
I mean, I'll throw him fireman carry if I've got to.
Well, no, he moves. It's just like when you cuff like the back of his collar, you can tell that he's not resisting you.
Okay, good.
He
I'm
starts
going to like
murmuring.
hurry him along.
Right. He starts mumbling in a language that kind of fluctuates between Elven and Draconic.
Oh, by the way, I stop Tug before he goes, and I hold him and I reach around my neck and I take off my holy symbol and I hand it to him. I put it in his hand. I say, in case I don't die.
In case you don't die.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Tug's like, pretty. All right, so Tadeo, you are hauling Gilman off the ship. Tug, what are you doing?
Coughing.
I'm following Tadeo.
All right, you're following Tadeo. You guys kind of you start making your way back up. At this point, the animals that were on the level that you guys were on are starting to become agitated. You can hear the clomping of what might be really tiny pony feet.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize that those are the food for the thing. And
but you also hear like birds cawing and that sort of just sounds over there. And the ship rocks a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm rushing. I'm rushing back down to the lower decks, and I'm.
Well, you were on the middle deck, I guess. So
you are. So it goes top deck, cargo deck, cannon deck, and then bilge.
I'm going back down to the cannon deck.
Okay.
I assume that since these are cannons that they utilize black powder or something similar.
Something similar. They are extremely ineffective cannons.
Mm-hmm.
You know from your training, any fighting ship worth its weight uses wizards or sorcerers, not cannons. And then to boot, they're goblin cannons, right? So they essentially use a very terrible form of black powder.
It doesn't have to be great. So I'm going to grab all the black powder I can find, and I'm going to pile it near the center mast.
Okay.
Near the hatch because I want to be able to get out of here, and I'm going to tear a bit off my towel, and I'm going to kind of cover it in break up one of them, cover some of it. I'm basically trying to make a quick fuse for myself.
And so as you start to do that, you realize that your towel is covered in rain and blood and is not going to be a very good.
All right. Yeah. Well,
but scrounging around where you find the
rope, then
the black powder,
rope.
Find the rope that's used for fuse, right? That cordage.
All right, great. Yeah, I'll use that. And I'm gonna I take off a quick piece, you spark a bit, and I watch it light just to get a feel for how quickly it burns.
Okay.
And then what I'm gonna judge maybe to give myself like a minute, and I'll pull off that much, and tuck it into the thing, all the stuff piled around it, and spark, light it, and I make sure it's going.
All right. So give me a die 20 roll.
Sure.
And let's just say that as long as you don't roll below a 4 on the die 20, that you won't still be downstairs when it explodes.
Yeah.
This is not an exact science for you.
7.
You tried. All right, Rob. When you get upstairs, what?
I was just gonna say when I get this Gilman off the ship, I'm gonna stay near the docks and have like a rope and a life preserver kind of thing handy to toss to Belfast.
It's not really a life preserver, but I get your point.
Well, just a round disc of wood, right? I mean, I
Right.
guess, or a piece of
Yeah,
rubber or
that's
something.
fine.
Yeah.
So you can hear the hiss and crackle of the black powder, right? Because it's not contained, so you don't get that massive explosion right away. You start getting this really quick burn, and you can smell the wood start to burn, and then you can smell all the booze and goblin that's been spilled on these decks over the years start to burn.
Yeah.
And then it catches the last little bit of like that keg of powder that you just sort of set there as you were leaving, right? So
Right.
if you can give me your Hollywood style acrobatics roll as you leap from the ship that's about to
Sure.
partially turn into splinters.
Yeah. I have
I
athletics.
critically turn my back on the explosion.
Athletics is fine too.
Yeah.
I make sure I don't look at the explosion.
Not bad. Plus dex 16.
So,
So-
an athletics jump, right, is that sort of ha, and you land, practically, versus the acrobatics, which is that sort of like flip and land, like you jump and you land like a practiced jumper.
Yeah.
Tug,
Spear landing.
the first thing that catches your attention is the of this mast as its bottom support has just been blown away. And that mast starts to fall towards the docks. And your brain does math real fast when it comes to this. And it's like, we shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
2 + 2 equals
Whoa,
run.
whoa. Yeah. Whoa, let's go. And I kind of just push all of them like, go.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll run.
like I imagine like today I was like hauling this guy and then Tug just runs by, scoops him under an arm and just keeps running. Like,
Right.
I'm 14 feet tall.
Handoff pass.
Right. So you guys go like hauling Heine up this dock. The mast falls and just destroys like a 10-foot section. So it's still standing on the far side. It's still standing on this side, but a 10-foot section has just been like ripped out of it. This huge splash of water comes up and like washes over a deck and laps at your heels, which tells you maybe you're not running fast enough. Then there's this
Dash it.
this sickening sort of whoomp as the explosion is actually mostly below. Well, no, you're on a cannon, so you're just above the water line. As it blows down into the bilge, and you get that shake of water, and the ship begins to crack, but doesn't just whoop underwater, right?
Yeah.
You also hear this horrible sound of shrill hissing screaming. And you see this long snake-like body come writhing up, and it has these sort of crimson scales to it, but the head is more like you would think of a dragon head and less like you would think of a snake.
Snake, yeah. Oh.
It has no arms, it has no legs, it has no wings.
Is it free of the ship, or is it being drawn under as the ship sinks?
So it looks like it's trying to pull itself free, but it also looks like it's stuck.
I'm going to fire arrows at its head.
Now someone rang a bell when the ship came into port.
It's right at the edge of the dock, like where you would come down to.
I'm gonna go start ringing the hell out of that bell. King, 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 king. Anyone down here who can help?
All right. So the town begins to sort of pour out that direction. A few of them come out and they see like this flaming boat, right? And then this gigantic snake-like dragon thing. And some of them are like, nah. Gonna go this way. But quite a few, you recognize very quickly some of the stone helms, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're there. The man you saw in the leather armor earlier,
the town marshal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Greymar, like he's there.
Mhm.
And they kind of take a note from Tadeo, and some of them are shooting arrows, some of them are literally throwing rocks,
Mhm.
right?
Tug stands there, looks down, think I need a bigger hammer.
Right.
Eventually, like even
We'll get you a bigger hammer.
Kinman shows up,
Big nails. Need bigger
and
hammer.
there is a pretty horrible fight at the docks, as this thing is it is trapped, so it's not able to move, but it's also big enough that it's not completely submerged, right? So it's
Yeah.
able to get about 10 feet up and around on the dock.
Yeah.
And so the few people who are silly and go running down there to try and fight it find themselves bitten and dropped in the water, or bitten in half, or arms bitten off. Like it takes a while. Eventually, Sharon and Father Johnson, what?
Joseph.
Yeah, Father Joseph and Lady Bellwood all also show up. And although he's only a level 2 cleric, Father Joseph can still cast a few spells. And you see for the first time Sharon casting a few spells.
Yep.
Nothing super impressive. They're not like casting meteor or anything like that. They're level like 2 and 3. The highest level person out here is Lady Bellwood, and she's a rogue, so she's also up there like think. And the goblins also come down and they are swarming this thing. Like there's a couple of them that stay back. Like if you take a moment to kind of look around, right? Like there's fire burning, there's lightning flashing. It's a dark afternoon with all the clouds, and so you get these weird reflections. And you kind of look around, you can see Shork standing up there, and he's barking orders to goblins. And they're the two that you saw earlier with the large crossbows are standing near him, but are in fact shooting this snake. But it takes like an hour for people to whittle this thing down.
I can imagine like people getting tired and like switching out. Other people come in. All right, I'll take over.
and I mean, goblin after goblin after goblin is being lost because those who don't have ranged weapons are really running and jumping off onto like pieces of the ship or onto the snake itself and attempting to stab it and kill it. Because for all they know, this thing just wrecked their ship.
Yeah, I spare them a moment of admiration for their tenacity and willingness to leap onto the beast.
I keep getting this picture of this big red-headed guy with a hammer in one hand and lightning flashing behind him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thor.
So it takes the better part of an hour before this thing finally falls dead, hopefully, into the water.
Oh, see, with the lightning storm, all we need to do is basically get a big copper rod and just stick it in the damn thing, and we'll let lightning do the rest. Honestly, that was my second thought. But
at the end of this battle, you guys have bumps and scratches and stuff from dock pieces being flung at you, or the occasional goblin gets like launched back. There are a few dead townspeople. There are a lot, probably 15-ish dead goblins. And that's just the ones you can see, not the ones that are perhaps under the water. And then this thing has fallen so that you have the dock, that 10-foot gap, and then it's fallen so that it's kind of laid limp across the far side of the dock. And then come the questions like, what's going on? And the first person to ask it is Shork, right? Because it's his boat. It's no longer a boat. But
Apparently, there's a monster in your hold.
he gives way to Greymar, who starts asking, who in turn gives way to Lady Bellwood, who starts asking.
Well, I'm going to look at Kinman, and I'm going to say, ask Gelman.
So in all of this, Gelman has sat on a crate watching this happen, and you can see his mind's a bit fractured.
Yes. You owe me your life. Tell the truth.
A group of assassins came to kill me and to wake her, and he points over at the worm, and they did.
I'm going to look at Lady Bellwood like, there you go. There's the entire explanation.
So
I say, how did you know about her, and why did they try to kill you? And what does any of this have to do with the thefts from the warehouse?
So Gilman looks past you to Kenman, to Cert, and he begins to sort of sob into his hands. I never meant to steal from you. I had to.
I'm nodding as he's saying this, as he's confessing.
I had to find something to. I needed a way on and off of the goblin ship, and as long as I was bringing him goods, Shork never questioned. And you see Shork kind of like stepping to like the background. He's
Womp.
and so yeah, he like bumps, like he like backs up right in the tug, like boom.
So I kind of catch Tadeo's eye, and I say, so Shork didn't know about the fact that they were stolen.
These creatures clearly chose to deal in stolen goods, which brought about the destruction of the ship and demise of several of their own crewmen. Gil's own guilt got him into this. Own greed. No sympathy is to be had here.
Don't deny there.
I don't know that Shork knew that they were stolen. I don't think he would have cared if he did.
No.
Exactly.
But I had to have a way on and off the ship.
Well,
you see, they come across some amazing things, these goblins.
Yes.
And one of them
stolen.
One of them was an egg. And it told me to come to it. And I did. And for the last year, I've been taking care of it and feeding it. And I'd sing to it sometimes. I didn't know exactly what it was until we got the statues. And they explained everything.
I'm nodding again. I do not know the laws and the punishment.
He points over at Father Joseph. You think that your gods are so old, but there are older things. Like her. But now she's dead. Well, this version of her. he kind of smiles in this sort of psychotic grin, like the lightning flashes, and you can see he's not all there. There'll be more. She wasn't the only egg. I've sent so many eggs on so many boats. But you killed her. Why would you do that? And why would they? And he points down, like there's this like bobbing black clad body in the water. Why would they come for me? They're supposed to love her as much as I do, but they couldn't. They didn't know her. Not the way I knew her. And so he kind of goes off into this like rambling of insanity and his love for this egg / worm.
I'm gonna turn to Sert, and I say, well, that would seem to be a job well done on our part.
So part of the dock is on fire. There's a sunken goblin ship in one of the best berths in the entire thing. His right-hand man is completely insane. There are dead citizens and so many goblin bodies.
But none of his stuff got stolen. But none of his stuff got stolen.
That's right.
That's right. None of his stuff got
Speak
stolen.
the truth. Think of the danger if this had gone on. We uncovered a foul mystery here.
So Sir kind of nods, and he looks at Lady Bellwood, but kind of speaks to the three of you while looking at her. How many ships do you think he got those eggs on? And he's just over there like cackling mad, trying to crawl towards the dead worm body, but like Tug grabs him, moves him back. He crawls a little bit more. The constable grabs it, or the sheriff grabs him and drags him back. He crawls a little bit more. A couple more goblins step out in front of him, cross their arms.
I step on him.
That's fine. Like you step on him, and the goblins just start like not like hurting him, but like
pinning him to the ground.
Right? Yeah. So you pin him to the ground, and the goblins that were in front of him, not hurting him, but they are like teasing him, like start kicking him in the head. Like, it's our boat.
I say it might be possible to learn some if we if someone examines the shipping records. I assume they probably went out with some of the other cargo.
15.
15.
He nods. Lady Bellwood. She steps down, and
you sure this guy's name isn't Renfield?
She's like waist high. Well, my dock is on fire. I have a goblin ship sunk. A few of our kinfolk were lost. And there may be, and she looks over at Tug, 15, you say? 15 more of these things out there. But
how many is 15?
Were it not for you, this creature may have woken up unbeknownst to us in the night and laid waste to us.
I whisper to Tug, 3 hands worth of fingers.
But 2 hands, 1 foot.
2 hands and a foot of fingers. 2 hands and a foot.
2 hands and a foot of fingers.
So we have proven
my
our value. We have proven our skills at destroying such worms. Perhaps.
Well, to be fair, we had a lot of help on this one.
Right. 35 other people are like, hey.
Don't undersell us here. I'm trying to.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Listen, we're willing to go a lot lower. You know, you don't gotta take his first offer.
How many of you guys actually ate the worm? I know I wasn't.
Oh, I didn't eat the worm at all. Although to be fair, I did set it. I was the one who set it on fire, so I think that counts for something.
We have proven our skills at taking down such creatures.
Mm-hmm.
For the safety of the land, you should hire us to track down the rest.
I turn kind of slowly and look at him like,
are you nuts?
And then think about it, and I guess, yeah, sure, okay.
So she kind of nods, and in that sort of, that's a great idea. Maybe someday you can do that. But
somebody sent for the cavalry.
she.
We might have to bring someone else in on this though.
Right. So she goes over to Cert, who is just baffled, staring at Gilman. Right. Between Gilman, the boat, and then the dead dragon worm, like he's just. And she reaches up and lays an arm on his or a hand on his left arm, and she kind of turns it. Maybe you should call them, go and see them, and come back to us. And he looks down at the tattoo, and he nods. He walks by, and he puts a hand on Tadeo's shoulder. He walks by, puts a hand on Tadeo's shoulder. See, Io, she'll pay you something. And he leaves. Other townspeople begin to sort of break off and meander back to their lives. A lot of them kind of hang out though, because this is very strange. Mm-hmm. Also, there's a dead dragon worm thing over there. Yeah. You can start hearing talks between some of the merchants on the best way to make a profit off of it.
Nothing is easy.
We should go back to the inn. I'm starving.
Lady Bellwood kind of nods. That's a very good idea. Yes, let's go back and get out of this weather. Something warmer. A drink, perhaps.
Yeah. The rain will keep the fire from spreading, at least.
Yeah, and there's already people like scooping buckets of water and hucking it onto whatever parts are on fire. And so she goes back to the inn with you. Io is sitting in there, still eating. It's her lunch break. Apparently, she takes an hour and a half lunch.
Yeah. We'll let her know that she can send our payment to the inn.
Right. Lady Bellwood says to not worry about that. She'll take care of your payment. The service you provided was much more than whatever service you had offered Cert, unless you had told him you were going to go monster slaying.
No. We were simply investigating his thefts. It was the monster slaying was a bonus.
We spotted his servant boarding the ship.
Yeah. Yes.
She nods and she basically asks like your histories and so on and so forth, and she shares a little bit about herself, and then she kind of brings it back to, and you, sir, say you want to track down these worms.
It seems a worthwhile challenge.
I would.
One that would do some good.
I would ask something perhaps as important from you first.
Oh.
And that's where the scene would close.
Okay.
She would be giving you your next adventure. I like the fact that you put into the comments there, Rob. I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast. You're like, he would have gotten away too if it wasn't for you meddling adventures.
Yeah.